talking
They're
about
like,
anything
go
like
over to
that.
that Jeff and Bill show and debate a more independent.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
I'm sure they didn't say it exactly that way. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Director Cash Patel. Bongino has been a vocal supporter of Patel on his show.
I can tell you with certainty that Cash Patel is there for one reason. He is there to make the FBI great again. Folks, we need Cash Patel at FBI. As far as I'm concerned right now, he is the
If you missed it Friday,
With state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Politics.
and she wants men
Now, Blake, a little bit of an. Little sirens on our. Dude, the notorious Bill Thorpe, a guy that. All right, we've got a lot to cover today. Let's jump into it. I want to tell you first about our friends over at Granite. Are you ready to transform? Granite, marble, and quartz countertops. For over 15 years, Mitch Floria, the owner of the Art of Granite, has been crafting and installing custom countertops, fireplaces, showers, and more. Their teams of experts will guide you through the selection process, ensuring you find the perfect stone to match your style and budget. Visit their showroom in Golden or browse their online inventory at theartofgranite.com. Discover the endless possibilities for your home renovation project. Get this, if you mention KNUS and you'll get a free bathroom countertop with new kitchen countertops, or choose a free kitchen or bathroom sink with any countertop package. Don't wait. Transform your home into the oasis you deserve. Schedule your free consultation with Mitch today. Go to theartofgranite.com. That's theartofgranite.com. Mention KNUS for those exclusive savings. Transform your kitchen or bathroom dreams into reality with theartofgranite.com. All right, want to go to Zoom now. There's a march for Tina Peters coming up Saturday, March 1st. This is going to be up in Fort Collins at Timberline and Prospect, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Bring your prayers, signs, and love for Tina. If you want to learn more, go to tinapeters.us. It's tinapeters.us. To give us some insight on this march is Cain from Task Force Freedom NoCo. Good morning, Cain. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning.
Good morning, Jeff and Bill. Thank you for the opportunity to share this information about Tina.
Give us an update on what you guys hope to achieve with the protest and the march.
Yeah, the main thing is you would be shocked at the number of people that are not even aware of the issue that Tina raised and what they're doing to her. And in fact, I just talked with my boss this morning saying, hey, I'm going to be on the radio and I'm going to be out of touch for about 15 or 20 minutes and concerning Tina Peters. He had no idea who she was. And so our biggest thing is to raise awareness where people can come out and stand at that intersection. We're going to have a small little rally where we can talk to the folks that are there. The biggest thing is to come out and so we can pray. And so we can pray for the country. We can pray for Tina. We can pray for liberty and freedom and justice.
We're talking with Cain of Task Force Freedom NoCo. He's helped organizing a rally in support of Tina Peters coming up on Saturday, March 1st. Cain, can you give us an update on how Tina's doing these days?
So I don't know a lot. Like there's some good information. I think there's some misinformation. I mean, but she's an amazing lady and she's in jail. And her rights and her liberties have been taken away from her. And I'm sure there's suffering. I know this about Tina. She's tough as nails, but it's still tough when when your freedom has been taken away from you, and I believe unjustly has been taken away from her. And so I can't answer that. I don't really have a lot of contact. In fact, I have no contact with Tina, but I'm working with folks that know her. But I think she's in, as far as I know, good health, but this is a tough time for her.
Now, we're talking to Cain, Task Force for Freedom, Northern Colorado, talking about a rally for Tina Peters coming up this weekend. You talk about Tina Peters' liberty and freedom being taken from her. How do you define that? What do you mean by taken from her?
Well, I believe she was unjustly prosecuted.
How do you come to that conclusion?
How do I come to that conclusion is that what she did, she was obligated to do. She was supposed to hold those records for 25 months. And all she simply did is she copied the documents before Dominion came in to do their audit, or I think they call it a trusted
bill.
Bond or something like that. I'm not sure what it's called. But she copied the documentation before and then after, and then in comparison, she determined that there were some changes made to the documents that she had in their system.
Is that all?
I believe that our justice system, I don't think it's just. Let me tell you this a little bit about myself. I'm former military, former police officer, ran my own business for about 15 years. I currently work in oil and gas, which is why I'm looking like this morning. And I understand our system. There's parts of our systems that are absolutely corrupt. The Democrat Party has weaponized our government agencies to fight against us. And so Tina is not, she's not the only one that's been persecuted by our government and using lawfare.
You talked about the idea of her being unjustly prosecuted. And you said all that she did is copy the databases. That's not all she did. I mean, she stole the person's identity. She created false pretenses to bring a person that was not authorized by the state or any other official to have access to the database, allowed that individual to have the database, and then take that database and release it into the wild. That's a serious, serious thing. That's not something that she has the ability to do. And she was and she was tasked to go and copy the databases, but they're held internally. She doesn't have the purview to go ahead and decide how she's going to copy them or who she's going to give them to. But that is what she chose.
Okay, is this Billy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Bill. Okay, so I don't know that is true. I mean, you're saying that it is, but I would say this.
Sir,
Hang
on,
on, judge.
Stop for a sec. Hold on. Before you say we don't know if that's true, that's not been fought about in the court. Tina Peters accepted those were the actions that she took. That was not. She did not say no. I didn't bring these people in. No, I didn't copy the database. No, they weren't given away. I don't understand. I don't think that's in question. Those actions have been proven. In fact, she turned off the cameras so that people couldn't see those actions being taking place, and that is against the protocol that is supposed to happen. So why would she turn off if she was doing something that was above board? Why she even turn off the cameras, man?
Okay. So let me say this, Bill. Did we do anything? Did our government, did law enforcement, did the prosecutors, the DA do anything about the evidence that she discovered where our voting system was compromised?
Yes,
as far as I know, nothing's been done, nothing's been said, no one's gone to jail, no one's been arrested for Dominion for adjusting those documents.
Well, see, the thing is, Cain, you're starting with the premise that it is true and proven. People did look into her allegations, including the district attorney in Mesa County, who is a Republican, and found nothing that Tina said in those 3 reports is true. And it's been outlined vehemently from a number of different sources why she is incorrect. She's come to the wrong conclusions. And the studies inside those reports do come to wrong conclusions. They have been studied. And the other thing they haven't done, Cain, is they haven't used them as proof for voter fraud in any other court case. Her proof that she hasn't been brought up in any other defamation or libel case to show that voter fraud existed. And the reason is because it doesn't prove what you claim it does.
Okay, well, I mean, I can do some more research on this myself, but I will tell you this. I know the same judge released a man who was in possession of 26 pounds of fentanyl, and he gave that person probation. Tina Peters is looking at 9 years, 10 years.
Yeah, and Cain,
Cain, I can get with you, dude. I can get with you on the idea of 9 years. I do think that that's extraneous. I think that is longer than she should be serving. I'm guessing, and again, this is only my opinion. I am guessing that the judge knew that in Colorado, when you sentence someone in Colorado, they serve roughly 50% of their sentence. So my guess is, and this is only my opinion, that he was halving whatever he was giving her and figure out that she's going to serve this, which if we were talking about 4 years, seems more reasonable. But I agree with you. The 9-year sentence does seem egregious for this crime. I would agree with you.
And hey, Bill, and I get that judge saying, you know what, I'm actually going to be compassionate in this. But still, a man with 26 pounds of fentanyl, which can kill 4 million, 5 million people, got probation. Our system is not just. I'll prove it to you another way. Kyle Rittenhouse, this poor kid, they tried to put this kid away for life for defending himself. He never even should have been brought up on charges.
We're talking with Cain, Task Force Freedom NoCo. They're going to host a rally in support of Tina Peters this Saturday, March 1st from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's going to be in Fort Colins, Colorado at the corner of Timberline and Prospect. If you want more information, tinapeters.us. That's tinapeters.us. Cain, I'm so glad you're continuing to raise this issue. So I was at CPAC last week. And a lot of conversation about the J6ers, right? How they were treated, what happened there, whether or not the sentence is similar to the conversation you and Bill are having right now about the length of sentence, those types of things, the amount of energy and effort the FBI put forward towards prosecuting the J6ers. Are they all the same, or should they all be treated the same? If you walked into the Capitol, should you be treated as somebody that hit a cop? That type of stuff. Lots of conversation about that. But the one thing I didn't see, and look, you had Steve Bannon there, you had Mike Lindell there, you had folks like that. There wasn't a lot of conversation about Tina Peters. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I can't explain that. I do know that most people, even here in Colorado, are not aware of what our government is doing as far as prosecuting, I think, conservatives. I think they use lawfare. I think they've used pressure on her to make her concede to certain things, and it's unfortunate because we've lost control of our government. And so I can't speak to what these other folks are doing. I know that we're trying to support a lady who's been a patriot. Did she make some poor decisions? I don't know. That's what Bill is saying. I'm not aware of those things. But I would say this: we should support the lady. She's getting, I want to say, overcharged, overpunished for whatever these crimes are that they're saying that she's committed. When I know that there are criminals, hardcore criminals, that are facing less time. I mean, I did some research last night. You can commit rape. You can do 4 years plus. You can commit a homicide. You can do 4+ years. This is insane that we're doing this to this lady. And my belief is these powerful people have decided we're going to shut her up. And I'm going to give you another. I'll give you another example. The McCloskeys pulled their gun out to protect themselves from BLM, and the media and the prosecutors went after them for standing on their front porch holding guns to keep people who broke in their gate from coming in their house. Why would you prosecute someone? Why would you prosecute someone who was simply trying to defend themselves? This was in the summer of 2020 in St. Louis.
Yep.
He was an attorney. I will say this:
they were at
the
CPAC
wife did
too.
not even have a gun in her hand because she didn't know how to handle a gun.
Yeah.
But let me say this, Bill, and I want all your listeners to hear this. The system is set up to go after white people. Oh my God, Cain, you're a Negro. How could you say that? Because I look at the evidence. And Bill, I hope you never, ever have to defend yourself and stop the threat of a Negro man that comes after you and you have to kill him, because the entire country will turn against you, my friend. The entire country, whether it was a legitimate shooting or not, the entire country will turn against you because you're a white man shooting a black man. That's what our country's becoming. So they're making these examples.
I understand that, but I'm super confused.
That people like you, that you don't push back.
Super confused that we've gone from Tina Peters, a white woman in prison, to me shooting a black guy.
Slavery and Jim Crow. So you white people better take it.
I'm super confused, Cain. I'll let Jeff ask the next question. Super confused how we went from talking about Tina Peters to all of a sudden me shooting a black guy.
Well,
I don't understand.
He's trying to point out that the justice system's rigged. Yeah, the justice system's rigged. Cain, Task Force Freedom NoCo. Cain, I asked this over X and it went uber viral. Would you like to see Kash Patel investigate Jenna Griswold?
100%.
Cain, I got a question
100%.
for you about. I got a question for you about Kash Patel.
Okay.
Do you think Kash Patel is going to release all of the information that he claims shows the FBI being involved in January 6th? He's now the head of the FBI. Do you think he's going to release all that information showing the because January 6th narrative is that the FBI was there and they were the ones that caused all the problems? Is Kash Patel going to release that information?
I don't know that he should. I think most Americans believe in full disclosure. Like, we have the right to know what our government is doing.
Why wouldn't he?
We have the right.
I know, but why wouldn't Kash Patel? Kash Patel's been screaming that from the rooftops. He wrote little kids' books about it. Why wouldn't he release that information? Are you expecting him to release the information? I am. I'm hoping he will release every single instance he has of the FBI creating that riot, if it existed, on January 6th, because that would be the easiest way for him to prove he's right.
I agree with you 100%.
Excellent.
I think the records, the information behind the death of Martin Luther King, the Kennedy brothers, I think if our government has been involved with these issues, we the people, this is our country. It is we the people. We have the right to know what our government is doing, right or wrong.
Yeah. Now, Cain, I got a
We have
question
the
for
right
you.
to know.
If Kash Patel doesn't produce that information, what's your conclusion?
Yeah, that's a good question. That will raise a ton of questions about who he is and
about either who
his
he is or
integrity.
whether or
I
not
mean,
the information exists. Yeah, it's a huge question because if
Well,
he doesn't present it and show
we
what he
don't
said was
know.
true.
But I do know this, Bill. In my lifetime, I've been lied to every single day from our government. I've been lied to. In fact, I do several radio appearances, and when we talk about the media, I call them pathetic, lying, teleprompter reading harlots. We have been lied to our entire life from the media, from Hollywood, from our politicians, and it's high time the American people get to know the truth.
We can
handle it.
We're talking with Cain of Task Force Freedom NoCo. He's helping organize a rally in support of Tina Peters this Saturday, March 1st from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Timberline and Prospect in Fort Collins, Colorado. Bring your prayers, signs, and love for Tina. If you want more information, go to tinapeters.us. That's tinapeters.us. Cain, you did a fantastic job having a conversation with Bill and I. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah. Enjoy your work. Appreciate
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bill. Thanks for allowing me on your show.
Sure. Take care.
We'll continue with your phone calls and text. If you want to join the conversation, give us a call at 303-696-1971. That's 303-696-1971. Or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. Bill is not only notorious within the CPAC circles, he's notorious within the Tina Peters supporter circles.
Peters. Yeah.
And they asked, to come on and talk about it. I said, sure, this is how Bill feels about Tina Peters. He's going to ask some tough questions. You guys ready for it? And they said, sure, we're happy to.
I appreciate them coming on. And here's the thing is that I disagree with Tina's conclusions. Do I disagree with going out and showing her support and the fact that she is going to be spending probably the next 4 to 5 years in prison? Yes, support her for that. Go out, pray for her. Go out, show support to her family and friends. Yes, and in my mind, Tina has made a horrible mistake, and she's gotten into this situation, and it is a horrible lapse in judgment, and I have all the empathy and concern in the world that she's taken care of in prison, that she's going to be okay, and that she comes out just fine. I'm 110% behind that. The reason as to why she's in prison, that's where we diverge from the group, and that's fine, and that is fair. That is perfectly fair, but it doesn't mean I don't support the group going out there and supporting her.
To that point, Bill, 0459, a rally to support an unrepentant convicted criminal, they say. Yeah. Tina Peters is a criminal who took affirmative steps to hide what she did because she knew it was criminal. She did this because she was a rube who bought a bunch of nonsense pushed by election deniers that apparently still exist. Yeah, it's sad.
That's what hurts me is I do believe that she was duped, and that's why I have a lot of empathy for her.
I was surprised that CPAC was not that big about talking about her.
I am not at all.
I mean, it's still an outstanding case. You got the J6ers out, right? And granted, Trump cannot pardon Tina Peters, but there should have. I mean, if this is to that end a big issue worth addressing, there should have been a panel, a discussion, all that stuff. And even Mike Lindell's booth was not covering it.
Yeah, I know.
So,
and at one point, she was flying her all over the country.
Fascinating.
And she was a star at his big symposium that didn't prove anything. Yeah.
Fascinating. All right, join the conversation. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. and I wouldn't have guessed. Not based on previous behavior. No, never.
They would shout in the middle of speeches, and then the cameras would run over there and film them. When Trump was talking, they would even kind of shout and talk during Trump. Steve Bannon had him on during his War Room broadcast down in the exhibit hall at one point, talk about everything that they had gone through. So, and then there was, I guess the leader of the Proud Boys got arrested again at the Capitol. Again, did you see that on Friday?
Yeah, he was told not to go there, though. There was an order that you can't come to the Capitol.
He just doesn't care.
No, he doesn't. He was pardoned for everything he did before. Why would he care? The rules don't apply to him anymore.
It is an interesting group. I've been going to CPAC now for 20 plus years. I was there during the Santorum days, during the Romney days. It was the center place of the conservative movement in Washington, D.C. And I guess what I find kind of intriguing is like I'm the only one left that has crossed those barriers.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And to me, it's not that complicated. To the Bush, Romney, old guard, they actually launched another conference called Principles First with Jared Polis.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, Jared Polis was speaking at it over the weekend.
That's
with
weird.
With the editor of Christianity Today. That's weird. That's just weird to me.
I like Christianity Today, though. I like the publication.
I mean, it's more center left.
Oh, yeah. But it's
in its worldview.
Yeah. But there are some things they do in there that I find intriguing. That like in Christian Science Monitor, their perspective on when they're reporting on news, I find interesting. So I value both of those outlets as far as their perspective on what they're seeing. Yeah.
So this wasn't on our schedule, Bill, so I'm going to go off on this. But I find it interesting. Because I've been a journeyman through the conservative movement.
Yeah.
And I'm like the last guy where I'm like,
you're the last one at the table.
Everybody else has changed, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
But to me, there's not this break. There's not this logical break because part of politics is being relevant, right? So you find ways to remain relevant. And this is, candidly, this is why I love George Brockler, okay? Because George gets this too. That you have to be smart enough to find places to exert political influence, even if you don't get the big office, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he ran for attorney general. He ran for governor. And our state went hard left, totally progressive. There's no way a great guy like George could win that statewide right now. So you could do one of a few things. You could become the perennial candidate that always runs, right? Yeah. That's just, I'm going to continue to run for that office. 20%. 20%, right? Or you can kind of take your ball and go home and be like, well, I guess just politics isn't for me. Or you're smart enough to find ways forward in the midst of the challenges. And in Georgia's case, you have a guy that is now doing great work in Judicial District 23.
Yeah.
Would I love to see him statewide? 100%. But he's smart enough in politics to find a way forward to be able to exert that influence.
Got a question for you.
And with CPAC, it's just bizarre to me that the old guard is like, man, I'm going home. I'm like, you guys could come there. Yeah, are you going to be as well received? Are you going to have this great, are you going to be on the main stage? And no, it's MAGA right now. The conservative movement's MAGA. But why not be there is just bizarre.
Oh, yeah, why not be there? It is very bizarre. But I'm also thinking that old guard is pushed out. They're not respected anymore. And so them being there, they would be probably the focus of ridicule and scorn.
Yeah,
more
probably.
Than being, my guess is that's why they aren't
one
there.
Or two? I mean, so the solution is go form up with Jared Polis? That's weird to me.
Yeah, well, the thing is that unlike myself, most politicians don't like to be called names and things. I don't care, really. And so I got a question for you, though. When you talk about that and you talk about the idea of, the change and what you see at CPAC, I have a theory that I've been working on for about the last week or so. And it's the theory behind why Donald Trump, and there's a push to give him a third term.
Yes.
Now,
it was very strong.
Oh, I'm sure.
Steve Bannon from the stage called for it.
Yeah. Here's a premise, and I would love to have. And again, it's not for you right now. I'm not looking for you to defend this.
Yep.
But this is a conversation I would have loved to have with some of the people at CPAC that are pushing for it. Is the reason that you're pushing for Trump to have a third term when he would be north of 80, older than anybody else that has had that office before, because you don't think there's another winner in your party. You don't think there's another person that can take that mantle. You don't think there's another person that can get the MAGA support and create this type of political momentum. You look on your bench and you don't see anybody. All the nice talk and all the happy thoughts aside, the reason I'm not there yet, but I'm getting convinced that the reason there's a push for a third term for Trump is because in their heart of hearts, the MAGA supporters know nobody else can win the way he won.
No, it is that way. And Steve Bannon talked about it from his stage. We'll get into that in the 7 o'clock hour. And basically what he says is a guy like Donald Trump comes along once every 100 years. You get George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Donald Trump. These guys come along once every 100 years. You use them and drive forward as much as you possibly can. All right, we'll get to that and more. We got You Choose the News coming up. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. is that time of the morning where we play everybody's favorite fake radio news game show. You choose the news. I've spent mere moments this morning scouring the interwebs for funny stories about us humans. It's remarkably easy. Giving them even more dumb headlines so we can play this fake radio news game show. Why? Because those in charge have no idea we are this irresponsible with valuable airtime. And shh, don't tell them. They wake up in like 7 minutes. So this is a secret between all of us. It is, of course, Jeff in the studio. Blake Olson is joining us from the, there's the echo again. Blake.
It is 7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Monday, February 24th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center.
Coffee's so good.
We
got
are
good radio station coffee.
It was an early morning, man.
Yeah,
especially after all last week and CPAC and late nights and all that
very
crazy
early
stuff.
Monday. Yeah,
We're kicking it off.
Crept up on us. Yes, it's the most Monday that we have in a while.
It is definitely the most Monday
Yes,
Monday.
it is.
Just get going.
Yes, exactly.
We've got a whole hour planned for you, engaging discussions, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts. So let's kick it off. Coming up here in just a minute, Rep. Ty Winner is going to join us, Colorado House District 47. This is a headline coming out of Colorado politics. Colorado House debate resolution condemning January 6 rioters and Trump pardons. State House Republicans Friday fought for hours against a joint resolution condemning January 6, quote, insurrectionists, a word mentioned 13 times in the resolution, and President Donald Trump pardons, as was noted. with gallows and hangman's news for Republican Vice President Mike Pence. But this week, the polls showing respondents overwhelmingly believe that, I guess, Trump should not have pardoned, should have pardoned. What do you think? All of that was debated on Friday on the House floor. January 6ers were at CPAC. So, was this a good use of time Friday at the state capitol? And I've got some thoughts on this because Democrats down at the state capitol, when it comes to these types of resolutions, are an interesting group.
Yeah, I got a question. I take this a little
personally.
The Democrats are still in charge down at the state
100%.
capitol.
Yep.
Okay, so then we
time.
know just by default it wasn't good use of the time. Just in general. Just in general. Point to me the good use of time they've spent over the previous several sessions.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I can be convinced of something else. So far, I don't see it.
With all the problems we've had down in the city of Denver, in the state of Colorado, okay, that's one thing. All right, okay, you're going to go spend an entire day debating a resolution on January 6th, rioters and partners. By the way, this was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one aspect of it. Okay, but here's the other thing. Upon the death of one of the great heroes of politics, in my mind, and the guy that hired me, I was one of the final hires he made before he passed away at Colorado Christian University, was Bill Armstrong.
Yeah.
And Bill was a state rep and state senator. And so upon his passing, there was a resolution to commemorate him.
Huh.
Okay?
Yeah.
So down at the state capitol, Republican lawmakers got up and said, we want to remember Bill. And Bill's family was there. Bill's wife was there. Kids, grandkids, all that stuff. And Bill had a famous statement, he would say. He'd go down, his thing was, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. I stand for Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. It's at the end of the day, it's all about Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. So the Republican lawmakers got up there and replicated that. Today we honor Bill Armstrong, who would from this podium say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. So for the most part, these types of resolutions to honor somebody that's passed away are like the most non-controversial thing out there, right? It just goes like even if you disagreed with them, their family's in the room.
Just honor the dead guy.
Just keep your mouth shut if you disagree with might be saying, and guess what? We're going to go on to other business during the day. So just put your head down, surf your phone. If you don't agree with the guy, did the Democrats do that? No. In fact, following all of this commemoration of Bill Armstrong, Daphne Michelson-Janae gets up and goes down there and goes, the chanting of Jesus, Jesus, Jesus reminds me of the Nazi chants that took place years ago.
That's where he went?
Yes,
that's what reminded him?
That is, yes, exactly. So the Democrats, with their little resolutions, cannot, one, like to waste time on things that happened 4 years ago, but can't even let the other side do their own little resolution without making a big thing to honor a guy who passed away with his family there, without equating it to some form of Nazism.
That's just ridiculous. Now, I understand, and it is one thing. I didn't know that was something that Bill Armstrong had said, because strangely enough, that's much like one of my favorite sayings. It's very close, but mine goes, Jesus, 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 what in the hell is wrong with all of you? There's an extra part there at the end. It's normally my phrase. I don't think it's as nice as Bill Armstrong's phrase. Mine's a little more, maybe not. Yeah, but still, we're close. I didn't know I was that close to him. I appreciate that.
We've got a lot to cover. We're going to talk to Ty Winter here in just a second. But first, let's bring the man you all want to hear, Blake Olson. broke out on Florida House of Representatives here in Colorado over January 6th. State House Republicans Friday fought for hours against a joint resolution condemning the January 6th, quote, insurrectionists. A word mentioned 13 times in the resolution, and President Trump's pardons of them. Here's one Democrat. For Black Americans, this moment was more than an assault on the Capitol. It was a painful reminder of the double standard that exists in this country. This was Rep. Michael Carter, Democrat of Aurora. As he watched rioters storming the halls, breaking windows, and assaulting officers, Carter said he wondered what would happen if those rioters looked like him. The mob was black. The response would have been bullets, tear gas, mass arrests, he said. It wasn't just an attack on a building. It was an attack on the very foundation of our democracy and on the right to vote, Carter said. I think if Carter had any recollection of history, he would have remembered that there were actually bullet holes shot at the Colorado State Capitol during the BLM riots, and nobody was prosecuted for that. Well, to give us some insight on what happened Friday, Representative Ty Winter joins the Jeff and Bill Show. Good morning, Representative. Thanks for taking time to join us this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, fellas. Thanks for having me on. I always love being on with you all in the morning.
All right, 6 hours of debate, I think, is what it ended up being, or something like that. Good use of time on Friday, considering all the problems Colorado's facing?
You know, it was a horrible use of time. I mean, it's a complete waste of legislative time, and it really does nothing to address the real challenges Coloradoans are facing today. I mean, families are struggling with affordability. They're struggling with raising crime. I mean, the majority is more focused on political posturing than real solutions. And that's what it was. But the problem is they brought that to the floor thinking that House Republicans were just going to sit down, because we all know that it was a distraction from the real issues. It was political theater. But the thing is you can't come out and punch 22 hard-working, fighting Republicans in the mouth and expect them just to lay down. So we push back, and we push back hard. Like the majority or Minority Leader Pugliese said, you wanted to have this conversation, or you would have not brought this resolution in front of us. And we gave him about 6 hours of conversation.
We're talking with Representative Ty Winter, who represents House District 47. So why do you think you mentioned they wanted to do this for political posturing, right? Donald Trump pardons the J6ers, a majority of them. And granted, there were some that hit cops that were violent, from my perspective, definitely should have done some jail time. I don't know if the full extent of the jail time was right. I don't believe they necessarily got a fair trial where all this was held. But tell us how you guys approach this issue, because it's complicated. Look, they're not all January 6th praying grandmas wandering around the Capitol peacefully. Some were violent, but others ended up going away for ridiculously long times in what seemed to be very partisan trials. So tell me how Republicans approach this resolution.
Well, and we hit it from different directions because, we all know that one issue isn't singular, and Republicans stand for law and order. But like you said, there was a lot of people, don't get me wrong, there were people that committed acts of crimes or violence, of property damage. And I don't think there's a sensible Republican out there that wouldn't say if you break the law, you should be punished. But you hit on something very important. Were they justly tried? Were they justly convicted? There was a lot of people swept up in that were let in by staff that had just went in to pray. And we're talking about the majority. The vast majority of those people that were wrongfully tried, wrongfully convicted, those are the people that we stood up for. And there's so many other technical reasons. I mean, as Republicans, words matter. And insurrection, nobody was charged of an insurrection, first and foremost. I mean, people were charged but not convicted. So to say that there was an insurrection when nobody was convicted of an insurrection makes it a bald-faced lie right there on the face of things. So, we wanted to talk about that perspective. We also wanted to talk about the people, Representative Luck did a good job of laying out, lady was an attorney, school teacher. She laid out methodically what happened, the process, and all the people that were wrapped up in this that were just bystanders, that were just there and swept into the building. So, we wanted to give a voice for them. But the most thing that we wanted to talk about was the distraction from the issues. The Democrats in the state know when they put something out there like this, the media plays on it. And they thought that, the Republicans were going to do one or two things. They were going to lay down and take it, or they were going to push back and they were going to try to spin it in the press that we were wasting time and distracting, and that's far from the truth. They shouldn't be allowed to bring political theater to take away from the real issues that Coloradoans are facing. And we had to make sure that we stated our case to the people of Colorado to say they wanted this debate, so let's have this debate because it's worth having, because we want to show you that their political theater is taking time away from actually solving the problems that you elect us to do.
Yeah, Rep Ty Winter, why not just roll over? This thing could have been a 5-minute resolution, let them move on, all that other stuff. Do you think they would have treated it that, or do you think they really wanted to use that moment to try to gain political points, get the media's attention back on January 6th, which happened, by the way, 4 years ago? But from your perspective, why not strategically just allow it to move on and get on with other stuff?
Because the conversation needed to be had. At some point, we Republicans and conservatives, sometimes we have to draw the stake in the ground. And this is the time that we had to drive it in the ground hard, because at that point, there are people in our districts that elected us to go up and fight against some of these false narratives that come out. And they expect us to fight against political grandstanding. And here's the thing is we'll work till midnight every night. It's the majority who says, oh, well, we need to slow up and stop early because of our staff safety, because of legislator safety. We're there to work. I remember our first year there, we did a couple 14-day straight stints in the State House. So, Republicans are ready. They're ready to show up. They're ready to work. And if we have to stay every weekend to get the job done, we will. But this conversation was worth having. It's worth showing the Colorado voters that first and foremost, a lot of what's perpetrated is falsehood out of some of the media coverage of this. We saw that through videos and through, witness testimony. And secondly, to let the people that voted and supported President Trump know that we're going to stand up for what's right. And there was just so many technical problems. Representative DeGraff laid out so many technical problems with this because he really focuses in on those things. So technically it was incorrect. So not only was it partisan politics, was it political theater, was it a distraction? There was a lot of information and it was just false. And those are the points that we argued on. Representative Caldwell out of El Paso County, and I can't remember the exact statement, but it's when President said, let's march down Pennsylvania Avenue. Well, they only put half of the quote in there.
Peacefully and patriotically.
Yes.
Yep.
We fought for like 2.5 hours just to get them to add the rest of the sentence to tell the whole story. So we just, we thought that was the first time Republicans really needed to stand up against the lies and the political theater. So that's what we did. And, I said in the well, if you thought you were going to come and punch this group in the mouth and we were just going to lay down, you picked the wrong day to push back on the House Republicans.
We're talking with Representative Ty Winter. He represents House District 47 down at the Colorado State Capitol. Here's the thing that I've had with J6. One, as you pointed out, the fact that they always cut off that part of his statement. They always try to make Trump look like he was organizing a direct insurrection on our Capitol, that type of thing. They're not honest about the facts. But the other thing that's always gotten me about this is I've watched the power and the might of the FBI pick through video frame by video frame, push out pictures of people they wanted to prosecute, SWAT teams, breaking down doors. I mean, the response was huge in an effort to, one, send a very strong message that this should never happen again at our Capitol, and I don't think it should. I think it was terrible what happened on January 6th, okay? That was part of the effort. But two, I mean, they prosecuted the hell out of these people. I mean, and put them in terrible conditions and all that stuff, okay? And then I'll just ask a really simple question. During the BLM riots here in Denver, somebody actively opened fire on the Colorado State Capitol. And I don't know if you were a lawmaker at that point, but I remember it. I remember there were bullet holes in the Colorado State Capitol. Who did they prosecute for that? Right, so
well,
you have this huge effort that the weight and thousands of FBI agents coming down on January 6th. Okay, somebody actively fired bullets at the Colorado State Capitol, and they don't know who did that.
You're correct, and that was brought up. Representative Soper, who's he's the longest standing Republican in the House right now, told that story because while he was sitting in his office, he said the bullet, he could hear it ricochet off the side of the building because his office faced out there off the west steps. So he told that story. He told about how they decimated the Capitol and how so many things that were happening that day. And you're right. last week just heading out to the Capitol one morning. I had it on Fox 31 News, and they were talking about, I can't remember how many millions of dollars that the city of Denver has paid to rioters and people that were actually defacing property and being violent with police as well. So, you know, it's definitely a double standard. We've all seen the two-tier justice system within this country from quite some time. And we know that the last administration was definitely, you know, laying out a, you know, you do this or else, you know, trying to scare people off of their voice and trying to scare people from being able to air their grievances peacefully, but didn't even want them to air their grievances.
Representative Ty Winner from Colorado House District 47 joining Jeff and Bill live. We were talking about a ridiculous resolution that the Democrats were floating about the January 6ers. And I agree, it's a ridiculous resolution, but I've got some questions about some of the words that you'd used, Representative Winter. You talked about the idea of an insurrection and that nobody was charged with an insurrection. But we had a number of people that were charged with seditious conspiracy. Those individuals were found guilty and then pardoned. Do you believe that was just?
Do I believe that was just? Here's the deal. I would have to look on a case-by-case basis. You know, as we talked about earlier, we talked about some of the false charges, false accusations, and in that political climate, I'm not one to blanket say, I'm going to look at everybody and say what was right or wrong. I'm somebody that has to drill down in on the issues, and before I can make a statement like that, I don't want to do exactly what the Democrats did and make a sweeping statement without me personally be able to dig into that information and to be able to see case by case who maybe was wrongly charged or unjustly tried. So for me to make a broad sweeping statement like that, I wouldn't feel comfortable because I'm more of a facts guy.
Yeah, but wasn't it the point that no one in Colorado, though, was found guilty of an insurrection?
Yeah, but with respect, though, the insurrection, the sedition is a little bit of a higher level, and we pardoned them. They were found guilty, proven guilty in a court of law for seditious conspiracy, and Donald Trump has then pardoned them. We have individuals that were seen on tape that harmed law enforcement, that beat law enforcement. Those individuals were pardoned. We can all play, and we can talk about the idea of individuals that just walked through there, whether or not they should be charged and what they were charged with. Vast majority of them did not receive prison time, received most of the time it was probation. So we can talk about that, but there are individuals that assaulted police officers on that day. They went in and they broke into the Capitol. That should be something that you would hope would want to hold those people responsible for, rather than, in my mind, waving the magic wand and giving them all a free pass out of jail, especially the ones that were convicted of seditious conspiracy, which would mean an active attempt to overthrow the government.
Well, I thought I answered that question earlier in the show. I don't know if you were on for that part, but when I said that the people, you know, there's not a pragmatic Republican out there that doesn't believe in law and order and the rule of law. And if anybody was rightfully convicted, the proof was there, and they weren't just bowled over in the courtroom, anybody like that should have to finish out their sentences. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. Another thing on top of that is we went through the list of pardons that President Biden put out, and just some horrible, difficult things. And that's the problem that I have with the political grandstanding is now the Trump's in office, we're going to drill down on issues like this, but nobody's going through the list of pardons that Biden put out. And I think if we're going to talk about these issues too, we need to lay them side by side, because to sit and pick winners and losers, if we don't lay the evidence out on both sides, just as outraged as people are about the pardons of the people they think that should have served out their sentences, I would hope they would be equally upset of the pardons that past President Biden made, maybe on people that have committed worse crimes. I read a list off of rapes and murders and kidnapping. So if we're going to parse this out, let's take the time to parse it all out and not play political theater.
So also, I agree with you on some of those points, but I agree. I think there's a little bit of a whataboutism in there as far as looking at it. And we can go back to what pardons that Trump did, and we can go back to pardons that Obama did. We can go back to pardons that Clinton did. We can go back to pardons that Bush did. There's a never-ending pull there. But I think we can agree that individuals that were convicted of seditious conspiracy, one, I hope we can agree, shouldn't have been pardoned. Two, shouldn't be celebrated. And some of those were celebrated, even at the most recent conference, the CPAC, at the Conservative Political Action Conference. Some of those people that were convicted of seditious conspiracy were celebrated. I mean, we can
Well,
at
I
least
wasn't
agree
there.
that
I'm
they
a
shouldn't.
Colorado,
Yeah, but
I'm
we
a
can agree that
Colorado
shouldn't
state
be
legislator.
celebrated. I mean, just
And
like
at the end of the
we
day,
can
my
agree.
job is as a state legislator is to handle state issues. That's a federal issue. So as a state legislator, all I can really weigh in on is the fact that Democrats chose to waste time on federal political theater.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we could sit here and parse it out for hours.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, this was political theater. And you know why it was done? It was done to drill down on hard questions and try to make people catch up and say certain things. We've seen it in numerous interviews and press to try to be able to divide more. And what's upsetting about this whole situation is that the Democrats came in on day one. The speaker said, we need to get over the political divide. We need to work together for the people of Colorado. And then the governor comes in and says, we have to stop the political divisiveness. I'm the president of the governors that wants to stop all of this. And then it's that party that keeps coming back and using this for political theater so we can have interviews like this, so we can banter back and forth about something that isn't going to make the lives of Coloradans better. And that's just where it stands.
Oh, you're right.
That's the
Representative
facts of
Winter, you are 110% right. And Representative Winter is joining us. He is the representative for Colorado House District 47. Excuse me, going too fast there. Yes, you're right. I agree. What the Democrats did, this is dumb. This is a federal issue, and they're doing nothing more than virtue signaling. It's rather stupid. I do want to take one more second, though, and go back to the idea of Donald Trump and the statement about being peaceful on January 6th. How many times in his speech are you aware of that he said, be peaceful on that day and during your protests? Because I believe it's once.
It's once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then he said fight 21 times. So he said fight 21 times. If you had someone you were crafting a speech to your constituents and you said fight 21 times and you said peaceful once, what would you say is the overriding message of that speech? Is it about fighting or is it about being peaceful? What's the message you're delivering?
Well, I mean, obviously it's about people standing up, but he didn't tell people to bum rush the Capitol first and foremost.
But he did say fight
and secondly,
21
what
times.
we need to be fighting about.
No, Ty, excuse me, Representative Winter, hang on a second. Representative Winter, he said you have to fight or you're not going to have a country left. He said you had to fight like hell. 21 times in his speech, he said fight.
And Bill, I was listening to Steve Bannon say fix bayonets, and no one grabbed any bayonets at CPAC
but hang on a second.
and run towards the state capitol.
Wait, tell me
this.
Wait,
is
hold on.
common
pause.
Hold on. Language in political discourse, and the idea that he was organizing an insurrection, and then also said peacefully.
I didn't say that. Hang on a sec. You two held your hat on the peaceful. And what you said was Donald Trump told these people to be peaceful, and so we can't assume he was going to do this. He also told them to fight 21 times. So what I'm curious about is this cognitive dissonance that the one time Trump says peaceful, everybody's going to be peaceful or should be peaceful. But the 21 times he says fight, we don't listen to that. Either we're listening and taking the words in the speech and going to act on it, or we're not.
Right.
I'm not saying that he
happy
fomented
to give an
insurrection,
answer, but
I'm saying he said it 21 times.
I'll defer to you first.
Well, no, thank you. I want to go back down to the first part of the interview. Like I said, I don't know if you had heard what I had said. We were talking about one sentence in there. I'm drilling down on a single issue, and you're trying to bring a whole speech on top of me. One sentence. They had the first part that only mentioned fight. Whether it was, guess what? That would have been only mentioned one time in that resolution. So if, like you said, we're going to sit down and part this out and be pragmatic, shouldn't the rest of the sentence be in there?
Yeah, the rest
whether
of the
he said fight 200 times, and that's what we were talking about in the beginning. So I don't see how we're twisting. This is the greater problem of this. Talking about drilling down on a single sentence in a resolution on a single issue, and then we're going to pull a whole 2-hour speech into it and try to parse that out. That's political theater on top of it.
With respect, Representative Winter, the reason I brought it up is because both of you used it in my terms when I was listening to it as an excuse. It was an excuse for behavior.
I think it's an important qualifier.
But he said
very
peacefully.
important. It's a very important qualifier.
Yeah,
so,
I know. I always hear it. I hear that the one time he said it, somehow told them what to do, but the other times he was saying stuff didn't tell them what to do.
But what you don't have, and this is my answer to that, Bill, is what you don't have is a litany of calling for violence. The idea that a politician uses the word fight is typical political rhetoric that's used on right and left, and it's to evoke emotion and commitment to the advancement of political ideas. The important qualifier in there, and it's critical, is that when he asked people to go to the Capitol, it was to do so peacefully and patriotically. We're just running out of time here. Representative Ty Winter, Great job on the floor of the House. Thank you to all the Republicans that showcased this political nonsense that was happening down there. If you want to join the conversation, give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Representative, I know you got a busy day. Thanks for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Thank you. And thanks for standing up against the nonsense. I agree with you. What they were doing is absolute nonsense. We come to different conclusions on it, but what the Democrats were doing is complete nonsense, and thank you for pushing back on it. I appreciate that.
Well, no, and thank you for the spirited discussion. I always love a spirited debate. I never shy away from these spirited debates. I just want to close with one thing. Fighting doesn't imply violence. And, I think that just needs to be said. So thank you for your time. Always.
And I think
God
we
bless
all
House
agree.
District 47. God bless Colorado, but most importantly, God bless the United States of America. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Hey,
you.
thanks. Have a
I think
great
we
day.
all agree. No violence. No violence. We don't like it in politics. It's not good in this country. All right, we'll continue. I do want to talk to you first about my friend Dan Caplis and Dan Caplis Law. If you know Dan, you know this guy is pro-life, pro-faith, pro-America. That matters because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan Caplis, the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. But more than just being a great guy with solid values, Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. In fact, Dan is believed to be the only to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Caplis Law is so trusted that he's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law, a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLIS Law.com. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. I am so excited for them. And we got to talk to Blake here. See if Blake's going to like make the journey down with
Came
us.
down that one time.
Yeah.
It was a ton of fun.
I really wanted to make it tomorrow, but I just can't do
It's
it,
Wednesday.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
Oh, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I'm sorry, Wednesday. What's today? Monday?
Yeah,
Yes,
who knows?
all day today.
Who knows? What
All
day it
day?
is.
All
Yes,
day
all day.
long?
Yeah,
But I
not like
will
the
say
usuals.
this. Anytime Mike Boyle is involved, oh, my goodness, he is such a great host. You go into those things, man, that he hosts, he'll take you to your table, bring the entertainment, all the information and history that you need. He'll talk about any subject you need. So as long as Mike Boyle and you guys are there, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be wonderful. And I'm telling you, if it does work into your, time frame and it does work the calendar, you're more than welcome to come down, join us at the IHOP in Greenwood Village. It's right off of Arapahoe Road on I-25. You get off and you go a little bit south. You can turn south on Clinton Street. Easy to remember because I've been told Jeff's going to buy you breakfast. So he'll take care of that for you. So yes, so I'm just saying, get everything on the menu. I'm just teasing.
That's one of the best ones, by the way.
That is a good one.
My friend from Texas comes up. Just eat at that IHOP.
Oh, man. It is fantastic. Well, we will miss you if you don't make it down there Wednesday.
Okay.
But thank you,
Thank
man.
you.
I appreciate you.
So we've got IHOP 6 to 10 a.m.,
Yes.
I-25 and Arapahoe, Greenwood Village. We are going to be hanging out doing a live broadcast. So what happens during a live broadcast? Well,
So much fun.
you show up and we immediately put you on air.
Yes.
So you
right
have
away.
to be well prepared for a monologue. No. You basically
And then there's
just
the
get-
talent portion of the contest.
That's
Yes.
right. Stupid pet tricks.
Yes.
You basically just get to watch Bill and I do a show like we normally would, and we sit next to each other. You got the whole production team. You get to see all the cameras, all that stuff. You just get to have breakfast and watch. And if you want, you can come up and join the show. We create some opportunities for folks to do that and maybe speak in on an issue. So if you're passionate about something, you can do that. Or just have a cup of coffee and some pancakes and bacon and hang out.
And I wander around and I'll talk to you during the breaks, and we'll have some breakfast. We've got a $7.10 IHOP special that's been crafted just for our listeners. They're not letting me purchase it, which is probably a smart thing. So, but also I'll wander around and chat with you. We can take pictures. You can just discuss. You can tell me why I'm so stupid or why I make you so mad in the morning. And the very fun, entertaining part of it is when they yell at me that there's 30 seconds seconds until we're back on the air, and then I run back to the table as if I'm one of those. You've seen those baby hippos, and they try to run away from the water and get back to mom. That's what I look like. It's like this, like, ah, as I run back. So it's a lot of fun. It's just entertaining. So, yeah, we'd love to see you out there. It's going to be 6 to 10 this Wednesday, the IHOP in Greenwood Village, Arapahoe Road, I-25. You got to go to the east, and then you take your first south turn. I don't know the direction you're going to be going, but if it's just east of Arapahoe Road on Clinton is where you're going to be going. Drive until you see the IHOP. It'll be on the right-hand side of the road. We'll be right there. Yeah.
Yep. And look, you don't have to spend all 4 hours with us. That's important,
No.
too.
Yeah.
Grab a cup of coffee, just tip your hat, and head on out,
Yeah.
or hang out for all 4 hours.
My
It's
wife
totally
can't listen
available.
to the show 4 hours, and she's married to me, so I get it. You don't have to be there all 4 hours with us, please.
It is great. All happening this Wednesday, 6 to 10. Go to 710knus.com for more details there. Also want to tell you about my friends at Mountain High Appliance. It's a new year, and it's time for you to get a kitchen upgrade. Save big during Mountain High's President's Day event going on now. Save up to $3,700 on premium KitchenAid appliances. KitchenAid has been a trusted name in home and professional kitchens around the world for over 100 years. Built to last and made for those who love to cook. When you think appliances this President's Day, think Mountain High Appliance. Mountain High Appliance. Get those great appliances so then you can have pancakes at home. All right. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
back to the Jeff and Bill show. Bill, a fan of this song? I've never.
Oh, yeah.
This is Espresso.
Yeah, Espresso Security Carpenter is so good. Such a good song.
It's fun to have Pete Taylor on the show last week, the rap artist, and you guys just go deep into Snoop and hip hop and rap and all that.
Oh, there were so many things I wanted to ask him about, but it's like, but I got to keep it relevant for the audience because I'm like, we could go really, really deep into some things that, like, I wanted to know. This is what I was pulling back on is there are a couple of artists right now whose flow and lyrics in the rap genre, because that's where he knows his stuff, that I find really interesting right now.
Yeah.
And I know that as soon as I took it in that direction, we'd lose the entire audience because nobody have anything.
I loved black rappers at CPAC. Make that more often.
Oh, dude, the thing I want to know.
Shows on the stage.
Oh yeah, see,
that's next level.
I wanted to know
those
about
grandmas.
I wanted to have his opinion of JID because JID is someone that I'm just getting into a little bit, and his rhythmic pattern is very interesting, and what he does over the top of the beat I find really intriguing. And so I'm just kind of exploring what he's doing and kind of sampling different stuff. And so I would have loved to have his opinion on someone like that. And there are a couple others out there. I'm glad that we talked Kendrick, though.
I want your opinion on Pope Francis. How's he doing, you think? What are you hearing in Catholic circles, Bill?
This ain't good. I'm hearing really bad stuff that he may bounce back a little bit, but the end is very, very close. That's what I'm hearing right now. The end's really, really close. And the reason that I feel that it is correct is I'm already hearing and seeing the maneuverings behind as far as who takes his place.
Yeah.
And if it was, nobody would do that because you don't want to waste the political capital. And it is politics to get named Pope. It absolutely is.
100%.
Yeah.
Dude, I had a, is it bishops the ones that determine the Pope? Okay.
Yeah.
I had a bishop to my face.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me, get behind me, Satan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to know why?
Yes. Why?
So we were having dinner with a bunch of Catholics, and I asked that question. I go, "Oh, are you guys the ones that choose the Pope?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "What was that like?" That was it.
Well, it's actually
it's
I'm thinking
because
bishops,
it's
it's
such
cardinals.
a
It's actually
secretive-
cardinals above them.
It was
so I'm
cardinal.
thinking.
Yeah, it was a cardinal.
It's the cardinals that are above them.
All I said was, "What's that like?"
I never get to vote, so it's a while figuring out it's a hierarchy.
But apparently, it's such a secretive thing that even if you ask them what that was like,
no.
It's considered like a satanic temptation, and I felt terrible. The dinner didn't go as well after that.
I do have to say that get behind me, Satan is one of my favorite random things to say. Like when those people are asking you for signing the petitions outside of the grocery store. Hey, would you sign the get behind me, Satan? Just to confuse them. My other favorite phrase to use is no time for love, Dr. Jones, because it's a total non sequitur. It makes no sense.
Do you think it's going to swing back because who was it in between?
Benedict was
very conservative. Francis, pretty progressive.
Yeah.
Is it going to swing back? Is this what happens? Is it like American politics where we just bounce back and forth?
Yeah, this one's going to swing back. It's going to be the people that I'm hearing right now are much more conservative than Francis. And so it's going to swing back the other direction. And that's going to cause, again, more schisms inside of the church, more questions about the direction, more questions about where they're going. It's going to make some people very happy and some people very, very mad. So this... I'm just real curious about who they're going to pick and who this is going to finally boil down to. But I think that at the most, I hate to do this, 6 months is what I was kind of the target date that I was hearing over the weekend.
6 months, you think?
Yeah.
That long? He'll survive.
Again, because... They always seem to hang on. So no one wants to say, I think he's got 48 hours.
So
you always kind of,
Here's the one thing I'm watching in all this, because I adore this guy. I think he's great. He's done a fantastic job, is Archbishop Aquila here in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
I really like him. He's become a friend. We gave him an award one year over at CCU when we were fighting doctor-assisted suicide together. And I was concerned that when he stepped down, Pope Francis was going to make a more progressive pick, and we'd be stuck in Denver with a progressive archbishop for, however long those guys stick around. Now, maybe if it swings back, we'll get another conservative one. But I'm more a fan of the conservative archbishops and cardinals and stuff.
The thing for me is that what will grow the congregation, and I still don't believe that my church has been honest about some of their sins of the past. And until that is faced head on, I think you're going to have a problem. But that's conversation for another day.
All right, join the conversation if you want. Who do you think the next pope might be? Should it be more conservative? 303-696-1971. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is 710 KNUS.
City on this Monday, February 24th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. We're just back from CPAC. Lots of speeches to talk about, lots to cover. Where's the conservative movement going? We'll get into that this hour, as well as talk about IHOP coming up with Mike Boyle on Wednesday. You're not going to want to miss that. 9 o'clock hour, Jimmy Sengenberger is going to join us because Jeffco schools, in all their wisdom, apparently this is all allegedly, is like, you know who we should keep out of our classrooms? Pedophiles, child abusers, groomers. No, conservatives. Interesting article in the Denver Gazette. We're going to get to Jimmy a little bit later. And speaking of that, a Highlands Ranch teacher arrested sent 2,400 text messages to a kid, bought them cigarettes, and apparently kidnapped him. Top it off, a finalist for the 2025 Teacher of the Year Award. I'm going to say it again because I've said it 1,000 times on this program. For the love of God, get your kids out of government-run schools. You have plenty of other options at this point. Charter schools, home schools, private schools, ACE scholarships will help you. There's lots of options out there. Get your kids out of these government-run schools. That's how I feel about it. But let's check in with Blake Olson.
All right, thanks a lot, Jeff and Billy. 50 and mostly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 63 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
We fought through hell together, but in the end we achieved the great liberation of America. We're liberating our country right now. We're doing all these things that you're reading about. We're liberating.
Day 35 of the awakening in America, and DJT announces another big move. Cutesy time is over. Dan Bongino will be the next deputy director of the FBI, working alongside new FBI Director Kash Patel. Bongino has been a vocal supporter of Patel on his show.
I can tell you with certainty that Kash Patel is there for one reason. He is there to make the FBI great again. Folks, we need Kash Patel at FBI. As far as I'm concerned right now, he is the only guy who knows where the bodies are buried and can go in there and clean that mess up. This guy gets it.
Bongino is former Secret Service and a New York police officer and one of the most popular political podcasters out there right now. He'll have to give that up, of course.
We are going to stand strong. We are going to work hard. We are going to fight, and win.
Millions of Americans fired up about it because Bongino hasn't let up on the corruption that occurred on January 6th, along with Patel. Speaking of J6, here in Colorado, Representative Ty Winter and Republicans have shown their support for the people who were used for political theater that day. On the show with Jeff and Billy this morning.
We're there to work. I remember our first year there, we did a couple 14-day straight stints in the State House. So, Republicans are ready. They're ready to show up. They're ready to work. And if we have to stay every weekend to get the job done, we will. But this conversation was worth having. It's worth showing the Colorado voters that first and foremost, a lot of what's perpetrated is falsehood out of some of the media coverage of this. We saw that through videos and through, witness testimony. And secondly, to let the people that voted and supported President Trump know that, we're going to stand up for what's right. And there was just so many technical problems. Representative DeGraff laid out so many technical problems with this because he really focuses in on those things. So technically it was incorrect. So not only was it partisan politics, was it political theater, was it a distraction? There was a lot of information and it was just false.
Cain from Task Force Freedom, Northern Colorado, on the show also this morning. They're showing support for Tina Peters this Saturday in Fort Collins at 11 in the morning. Billy also asked Cain if he thought Kash Patel will expose everything and everyone involving the January 6th riots like he has promised.
But I do know this, Bill. In my lifetime, I've been lied to every single day from our government. I've been lied to. In fact, I do several radio appearances, and when we talk about the media, I call them pathetic, lying, teleprompter reading harlots. We have been lied to our entire life from the media, from Hollywood, from our politicians, and it's high time the American people get to know the truth.
Agree. The 47 administration will put all civil servants employed by USAID on administrative leave today, as well as cut 2,000 employees. Elon asking for email telling Doge what they did last week. If they don't, they will be dismissed. Representative Ralph Norman.
Price tag that the taxpayers pay is right at $271 billion a year. Is it too much to ask for them to verify why they're making an average salary of $106,000 a year? Do you think in the private sector that single mom who is working two jobs at a restaurant can't justify where she was, or the hygienist at the dentist's office can't verify how many patients they saw. The absurdity and I guess the arrogance of the workers who says that's a heavy lift is what's wrong with that's what the Americans are sick and tired of. It's not their money. We're the ones who are paying the bills. We have a right to know.
DJT welcomes French President Macron to the White House today. One person is dead after being buried in an avalanche near Berthoud Pass over the weekend. The name of the skier who died will be identified at a later time. Broncos linebackers coach Michael Wilhoit arrested Sunday on suspicion of second-degree assault of a police officer. The Broncos said that they're aware of the situation and in the process of gathering more information. Wilhoit is a former NFL player who joined Sean Payton's staff in Denver prior to the 2023 season. He's scheduled to appear in court this morning. Nuggets at the Pacers tonight at 5 o'clock. 48 in Parker, 47 in Wheat Ridge, and 50 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
Price tag.
Wrong one.
Why don't you just check yourself into the old fool's home while they still have a bed left?
Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
All right, this Wednesday, the Jeff and Bill Show is heading out on the road with our friend Mike Boyle to IHOP from 6 to 10 a.m. for a live broadcast. That means you get to come and enjoy some breakfast, watch the radio production in its entirety. You can hang out for all 4 hours. You can just grab a cup of coffee and tip your hat to us. But we'd love to see you live in person. Joining us now on the Jeff and Bill Show is the legendary host of the Mike Boyle Restaurant Show, Mike Boyle. Good morning, Mike.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Bill. Listen, I want you guys to know what reverence I hold the Jeff and Bill Show. How important the Jeff and Bill Show and an appearance at the IHOP is to me. I just got done walking on the beach at Tulum, Mexico with my buddy Mike from Granelli's Pizza in Castle Rock. And I'll have a nice dinner tonight, but then I'll get on a plane tomorrow and I'll fly back so I can be at the IHOP on Wednesday from 6 to 10 with my bros, Jeff and Bill. How's that,
Mike?
Oh,
my goodness.
Sacrifice.
That's amazing, man. That is incredible.
So, yeah, and we've got some great specials. You know, they got that fave menu. They've got 5 for $6. And I've had 3 of those items, and they're more than adequate. But we've also got some great $7.10 specials.
Yeah, I was just looking at those, Mike. Now, hang on a sec here, because Jeff, I hate to break this to you, but Mike's really not coming back for the show. It's because of the IHOP pancakes. The pancakes are so good. He'll come back to Mexico, from Mexico to Colorado for the pancakes. Not really to see us, but we appreciate the sentiment. We do appreciate the sentiment.
Busted. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got some of the information too. I found it on your page, MikeBoyle.com, MikeBoyle.com, that'll outline the great deals you're going to get at IHOP for $7.10. What are they hooking us up with?
We have got a stack of pancakes, including strawberry cheesecake, double blueberry, chocolate strawberry, one a stack, tres leche. I don't even know what all these pancakes are. Of course, those of us that are old enough to remember IHOP stands for International House of Pancakes, and they're known for pancakes, but they're also going to do a great combination breakfast where it will come with a meat and 2 buttermilk pancakes and eggs and so forth. So one way or the other, for not much money, whether you want to do the $6 fave or the $7.10 specials, we're going to get you filled up. And, we've had a couple of wonderful events previously. People love to meet you guys. We had one down at Doug's Diner in Parker. We had another one at an IHOP in Aurora. But this one is nice and freeway close. Get off the freeway at Arapahoe, get off at Dry Creek, swing by, and you can get right back on the freeway and head to work or whatever you want to do. But we'd love to see as many people as can figure out a way to make it on Wednesday.
Oh, it'll be wonderful. And just as many people show up to see us as see you. You draw just as many people as we do.
You're the actual
yes.
life
You're the
of the
star.
party.
You are the reason. And Mike wanders around, and he'll spend time. He'll sit down at your table, and he'll chat with you a little bit. And again, it is his hard work that he talked to the guys at IHOP and said, listen, if the fans from 710 KNUS show up, you got to make sure we do something right for them. So in addition to that $6 special they've got, it's a $7.10 IHOP Jeff and Bill show, Mike Boyle show only, in which you get either the big stack of pancakes, strawberry cheesecake, chocolate strawberry, Cinestack, tres leches, chocolate chip, go wild. Or you want to be a little more like the adult, the pancake combo, 2 pancakes, 2 eggs. You get to choose the bacon or sausage, plus you get the hash browns. And the hash browns are fantastic there. So, and that's all $7.10. You can't beat that price if you run to one of those coffee shops or you drive by and do the fast food thing on the way into the office. So we're going to give you a fresh-made meal. Sit down, hang out with us for a little while, and then head on your way. As long as you can spend with us, we love it. But we're going to make sure that you are fed, make sure you're fed by something fresh, a local eatery, and we're going to save you cash at the same time. So, yeah, show up with us on Wednesday.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And, it's great for me, to be honest with you, because you guys, 6 to 10, news of the day, live and local, you've got to work. I'll be there shaking hands. I'll be there hugging the ladies. I'll sit down and have breakfast, and it's a chance to catch up with people. So love to have it. Like you said, come by for a cup of coffee, come by and have breakfast, come by and stay for 4 hours. But
now, Mike, we got a text message here. We got a text
amazing.
message from the bread man. He wants to know what time the cute girls are showing up.
that my job is the restaurant show. My
Yes.
job is $7.10 specials.
Nicely done.
I'm sure that you've just got a plethora of hotties that follow the Jeff and Bill show. So I'll let you guys be in charge of that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. But yes,
Yeah.
that is great. And nice save on that one. That was a good job because
Now-
Birdman set you up there. Nice save.
Mike, you're down in Mexico right now, right?
I brought a group of listeners. About 3 times a year, I ask listeners if they'd like to travel with me. And we flew in last Tuesday to the new Tulum International Airport. Of course, Cancun is about 2 hours from here. Cancun is the largest tourist area in Mexico, over 30 million tourists a year. So they built a new airport in Tulum to try to take a little pressure off it. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There's no wait whatsoever. We stayed at a resort a little closer to the Mayan ruins in Tulum, and we've just been enjoying. Some people spend a little bit more time in the pool. Some people spend a little bit of time at the beach. We've been doing some excursions. Saturday night, I got a private catamaran, and we went out and had a private booze cruise, sunset cruise for drinks and snacks. And so I've been doing these for about 25 years. They're great trips, and want to invite anybody that's listening to Jeff and Bill, inviting anybody that listens to my show. They're a lot of fun. It's a great group of people, and it's not cliquish. We have people drift in, drift out. Every trip runs about 50-50. People have traveled with us and people that have traveled first time or are traveling first time. So everybody blends together. I have a cocktail party every night about 6 o'clock so people can see each other, meet each other. But other than that, it's completely freestyle. You go do what you want to do.
This is why everybody loves Mike Boyle. What?
That is awesome.
I'm suffering from envy right now. It sounds so fun.
I'm like the kid that had to tie a pork chop around his neck to get the dog to play with him. I with my restaurant specials and trips to Mexico, it's pretty easy to build a little bit of a fan base, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
You've got a big fan base, and we're expecting everybody to come on out and see us. We're going to be out at the IHOP in Greenwood Village. It is just a little bit south of I-25 and Arapahoe Road. If you get off Arapahoe Road on I-25 and you're heading to the east, it is your very first south turn, and you'll remember the street. It's Clinton. Yes, you got to turn on Clinton. Yeah, strangely enough, if you're coming off of I-25, Clinton goes to the right, not the left. Well,
You know what?
wins.
We might even start a petition there on Wednesday to change the name of that to Trump Boulevard. What do you think?
I will sign that. I actually would sign that, my friend. I would.
Oh, Mike Boyle live with Jeff and Bill this Wednesday at IHOP Breakfast off of I-25 and Arapahoe Road in Greenwood Village, 6 to 10 a.m. You will have fun. Bottom line, you will have fun. What a great way to start your Wednesday. And I just got one other thing to say to Mike Boyle right now. I got my toes in the water, toes in the sand. Enjoy time in Mexico, my friend.
Enjoy it, sir. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Zach Brown, making a guest appearance on the Jeff and Bill show.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good one. Oh, my God, that's fantastic. And he'll join us again tomorrow to kind of keep everybody, apprised of the situation. He's going to be swinging back here. I love the fact that he's coming back from Mexico. But yet again, $7.10. We're going to make sure you start your day off right. You get to choose that big stack of pancakes. You want to do it like you did when you were a kid? Strawberry cheesecake, that double blueberry, the chocolate straw. Oh, that's talking mine. That's the mine thing, the chocolate strawberry. Oh, man, how am I going to do that one? So chocolate strawberry pancakes, Cinestack, Tres Leche, chocolate chip pancakes without the strawberries, and also strawberry banana. Or you can do the adult thing if that's what you want to do. Fine. You can spend your $7.10 to get the pancake combo, and that's a pair of pancakes, 2 eggs. You choose the bacon or the sausage, and you get their to die for hash browns. I really like the IHOP hash browns. There are times I can do an entire plate of that when I was younger and had a tight skin and a better metabolism. Now I can't. Too many pounds and also not good for the heart. So, but I do sample the hash browns. I will be having them that morning. Hope you come out and join us. It's going to be that IHOP in Greenwood Village. We're going to be there from 6 until 10. It is just basically a little bit south of I-25 and Arapahoe Road. You get off Arapahoe Road, you head over to the east, and then you turn on Clinton Street. Yes, Clinton, but at least you'll remember it. Wander on down Clinton Street, go south until you hit the IHOP. That's where we are. Come on in. Make sure you bring your cameras because we'll take pictures and we'll goof around with you when we're off the air and do stuff like that. So we can't wait to see all of you. And, of course, Mike Boyle is going to be there as well. This is going to be cool.
All right, I want to talk to you about my friend Dan Caplis and Dan Caplis Law. I've known Dan for well over a decade. He's pro-life, pro-family, pro-America. That matters because who you choose to represent you in an injury case is going to say a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. You show up with somebody that's got that kind of greasy feeling to them, right? The bus billboard that goes by, they're just in it for money. That's not Dan Caplis. Dan is in it for righteous cases. He's in it for justice. He's in it for truth in the American way, all right? And while he's a good guy with solid values, what really matters is that he wins. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. In fact, Dan Caplis Law is so trusted that he's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, here's the phone number. Don't wait. Let's put it in your phone now because when that accident happens, you don't want to be scrambling for it. You can call him right away. Get your team built. Go to work. Here it is. 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551 or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S Law.com. All right, Bill, let's do CPAC.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So I caught 3 speeches. Well, 4. I caught Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Tom Homan, and Steve Bannon. All right, now,
dude, you picked the right ones.
I got the fiery ones.
Yeah, if I was gonna tell you to go there and make sure you listen to speech, those would be the 4 I'd tell you, man. You got to go see those. Nice job. Okay.
Now, I got into a little bit of a spat with Kyle Clark over the weekend because Kylie here wrote that Steve Bannon was doing Nazi salutes during his speech. Oh, and the Colorado Republicans are bringing him out. He did a straight arm salute. I have the entire speech up on X. No, he's waving. It's stupid. The fact that progressives continue to chase this around as if conservatives are openly anti-Semitic when progressives are openly anti-Semitic and getting jobs at Columbia University, it's just ridiculous. But the little straight arm salute thing around Steve Bannon is just a distraction from what was actually a really important speech. He set the stage that what MAGA is going to face coming forward is going to be a lot more challenging than even what we faced in the past. It was a fiery speech. It was a fight, fight, fight speech. It was fix your bayonets and get ready. Here it is, part of Steve Bannon's speech from CPAC.
I want you to look within yourself right now of that journey. Go back to 2021. Go back to your life. Go back to the anxiety, and man, Trump won, but they stole it. The system's so big, so corrupt, so powerful. Remember that? Back on our heels, right? You didn't quit, just like in any military contest. We got a rally point. We dug the guide on in and said, you know what? Regroup, dust ourselves off, fix bayonets. We're charging again. That is why Kash Patel is the director of the FBI. That is why Bobby Kennedy is the head of HHS. That is why Tulsi Gabbard is a DNI. That is why Pete Hegseth is across the river in the Pentagon. Fix bayonets. Fix bayonets. You're not going to stop. It's going to get so tough. It's going to get so hard. Are you going to quit or are you going to back Trump? Are you prepared to fight? When he made the moral decision to come back from Mar-a-Lago, understand they were going to put him in prison for 700 years, right? They were going to bankrupt him. They're going to destroy his family. What did he do? He came back in 47 days and said, I'm in. Are you in? Right? When they tried to shoot him, when they tried to assassinate him, and he was on the ground right there, they could have crawled off like any other politician in the world. What did he do? He got up. And what did he say? What did he say? I can't hear you. Are you prepared to fight for Trump? Are you prepared to fight for this republic? Are you prepared to fight for this country? The hardest, toughest days are ahead, folks, but you know what? Riyadh, Berlin, Beijing, Moscow, the city of London, right here. This is not beatable. You can't. The only way we lose is if we quit. The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. The only way that they win is we retreat. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit. Fight, fight, fight.
Woo! That was quintessential CPAC speech. And there's a few ways you can go at CPAC, and I've been going for 20 years. You can go the policy route, and, oh gosh, who's the UN girl that Trump has now? Elise Stefanik, very policy-oriented, sending a message to other countries that. And then you get the Steve Bannon, fight, 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 rally. I mean, get them fired up. We're ready to take on the next challenge. But it is interesting to me to see the journey of CPAC. At one time, 2012, Mitt Romney won the CPAC straw poll. Mitt Romney won the CPAC straw poll. And I know because I was organizing the effort to try to get Rick Santorum to win the CPAC straw poll. So to follow this journey of CPAC into full-on MAGA, I mean, it is MAGA dominated. Now, I don't know if it's always going to be MAGA dominated. This is a longer conversation Bill and I were having offline about, all right, if you're more of a neocon and you want to see institutional engagement, you want to see global engagement, yeah, is CPAC ever going to come back to that? I don't know, but not showing up will sure ensure that, which is basically what's happened to neocons. They've completely abandoned CPAC. They're not even in the room. They're not even getting a booth. They're not having a conversation there anymore. CPAC has gone and is completely MAGA in that sense. passion, of fight, of fixed bayonets, of taking on. Did you hear who the enemy was there? The enemy were the globalists, were the Moscow. He puts Moscow in that list. Moscow, Iran, Germany, all that stuff. It was the globalists out there. Berlin, Riyadh. That's who Bannon has his eyes set on that needs to be defeated. But it was a good reminder of what MAGA had gone through prior to that speech. Or prior to those clips, I cut out part of it just because it's a 17-minute speech. But he gets back into, what life was like in the early days following the 2020 election and how they had to bounce back. But it was an impressive speech.
Yeah, I wonder if Trump knows about his feelings about Putin. I wonder if that shares them. The thing that I heard in that was this weird sense of victimization that seems to be a narrative with Bannon. He spends a lot of time talking about they. And we heard that from one of our guests last week at CPAC. They are doing all these bad things, but you can't necessarily point to the they, or how do you fight the they? And what I heard in Bannon's speech is, oh my gosh, we've been victimized. We've been oppressed. We are now in charge, but we are still being victimized. We are still being oppressed, but we are in charge. We control all three branches of government right now in America, but we are still victimized. We are the ones making the choices and changing the government, but we are still the victims. It's weird that he balances this thing about being in charge, but also continuing to be the victims, which, again, works really well for the speech, but doesn't narratively hold a lot of that water.
No, the dude was in jail.
But
I would say he was a victim.
But
he spent time in jail for these little.
But what he spent time in jail
the
for?
Congress, right? Not testifying before a political witch hunt.
And no, he just didn't testify.
Eric Holder didn't go to jail for.
No, he just that would have been responsible for the Congress and DOJ to hold him responsible for. That's just
they didn't.
But again, Jim Jordan didn't show up and he didn't go to jail, did he? Jim Jordan refused the congressional subpoena. He didn't go to jail. So again, the idea of looking for
he's not a victim. The dude ended up going to jail over contempt of Congress.
Wait, hang on a sec. You're bringing it to an individual. I'm talking about he is broadly saying that MAGA is the victim. That MAGA is the victim. They are doing this to us.
A lot of these guys have spent some pretty serious time in prison in some pretty awful places.
Yeah, and some of them were convicted of seditious conspiracy. And some of them, like Steve Bannon, just pled guilty to fraud. So, again, I understand the idea that because we don't like the conviction that we were given, we're mad about it. And so we say that the judges are dirty and everything else is dirty. But again, the theme behind Bannon there is we hold the levers of power, yet we are still victims. They are still doing this, but we are in power. We are in charge, but they are still doing this to us. I still am super curious about the idea of they shot him.
So
they shot him. I hear that a lot. I have no idea. Nobody's been telling me who the they is that shot Donald Trump. Because
I want to see the data on that. But I will tell you the sense that I've gotten from Bannon watching his speech and where he's going, where he wants to take the MAGA movement is there continues to be a globalist force out there. And it's found its way into lots of different countries all over the world, and including our country. And it has to continue to be confronted because just because we won in November doesn't mean that we're going to get the nationalist policy agenda completed. It has to continue to be fought for, and that was the message he gave there. Here's the other question I have for conservatives, particularly here in Colorado. How do you interpret that and move forward? Steve Bannon is going to be the keynote speaker at the Colorado Republican Party, big fundraiser. He's it, all right? And he comes with that fight mentality. We are on our back in this state. We're not even close to winning anything.
On a side note,
go ahead.
Don't, if he asks for money, don't give it to him.
Directly to Steve.
Don't because he just pled guilty for fraud for raising money for the wall that he never built. Just saying. Again, you can bring him here, etc. But if he says, hey, donate money to, maybe not. Just saying, maybe not. Maybe not. I'm just trying to protect.
Are you happy to have Steve Bannon coming to Colorado? Are you excited about his vision? A nationalistic, anti-globalist, anti-neocon, fight mentality. It is grassroots. It is organized on the masses, on the populist groups out there. Do you support that? Do you like the direction of the Republican Party, of MAGA, of what you saw at CPAC? Because right now, that is what dominates the Republican Party. That is the movement right there, and it has shifted. As a guy who's been in this for 20 plus years, it has dramatically shifted. Do you like the direction it's going? Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115.
Yeah. And you know what, Jeff? I also want to know, and hopefully will give us a call, I want to know who the they is. Everyone keeps saying that they shot him. I've heard a lot of commentators say that phrase. They shot him. They tried to kill him. Who's the they? I'm super curious. Now, we don't know a lot about the individual people that pulled the trigger, but when you're saying they shot him, they tried to kill him, who's the they? 303-696-1971. Want to take a moment here and talk to you about Wound Care Associates of Colorado. Brand new advertiser here on the show. And I'm excited because they're doing stuff different. And it also means a lot because of something that happened in my family. Years ago, my aunt had a chronic wound. You know, it was just a slow healing cut. And she was going to a wound care facility and they were maintaining the cut. That's what they said was best, to make sure it stays clean, make sure that none of the bad stuff gets inside. Well, unfortunately, she got MRSA from the treatment. Now, I can't say it was the individual person giving her the treatment, but she was exposed to MRSA during the process of getting the treatment for her chronic wound. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Wound Care Associates of Colorado, because that's not how they operate. Now, if you have a slow healing cut, diabetic ulcer, pressure sore, someone in your family is dealing with it, that can be a little deal that turns into a very, very big deal. My aunt, after being exposed to MRSA, spent weeks in the hospital. There were a whole bunch of other complications, and she ended up with a couple of amputations because of it. Not because of the original wound, but because of the MRSA that got access to her body and her, her internal organs through that open wound, the cut tissue, the cut skin. That's where dirt, germs, and bacteria look to get access to your immune system, to your blood system, to your organs, to your bones. And that's what happened. Jennifer Walker, who started Wound Care Associates of Colorado, also has a similar story about losing her uncle to a small cut on his foot. He had other stuff he was dealing with. The cut didn't seem to be that big of a deal until it was a very big deal. So do not wait. Don't ignore that chronic, slow-healing cut, diabetic ulcer, or pressure sore. And the reason you want to talk to Wound Care Associates of Colorado, reach out to them at coloradowound.com. Coloradowound.com is two reasons. First, they're going old school. It's that concierge service where they come to your house. You contact Wound Care Associates of Colorado through coloradowound.com. They set up a personal appointment at your place. They're not asking you, hey, here's our office and park here. And no. They come to where you are. Their nurse practitioner that is wound certified comes to the privacy of your own home. You receive the comfort and compassionate care that you need right in your own home. They set up a personalized treatment plan based on your wound to make it better. Ignoring the problem doesn't fix the problem. If you went to the doctor today, like you go to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor's like, man, you can't see that chart at all. You can't read any of those letters. Well, we're just going to maintain that. No. Hey, hang on, doc. I saw a whole bunch of glasses out there in the front room. Can't we put the glasses on so I can see? No. Why would we do that? That would be silly. Let's just maintain where you are. No. Let's make it better. That's what makes Wound Care Associates of Colorado different. They want to make your wound better. If they had been around when my aunt was here, she wouldn't have suffered from MRSA. She wouldn't have had those times in the hospital. She wouldn't have had amputations. That's why Wound Care Associates of Colorado is better than the rest. Trust them. Contact them at coloradowound.com, coloradowound.com. You get that wound treated in the convenience, comfort, privacy of your own home. It is a personalized treatment plan that is focusing on promoting faster healing. Too many of those other organizations aren't focused on the healing part of this. That's why you need to talk to Colorado Wound Associates right now. coloradowound.com, coloradowound.com. And when you talk to them, tell me you heard about them here on the Jeff and Bill Show, because it sure does help us out.
That sounds great, Bill. All right, phone lines starting to light up. Text messages coming in. What do you think of Steve Bannon? What do you think of the MAGA movement? And who are they?
Yeah, who's they?
That are going after Trump. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. Do you think they'd give me a loan? Get some money.
good morning, guys. Hope you had a good weekend. So, Steve Bannon, he's a character. He's kind of the foundation of MAGA, which is why Trump had to jettison the guy first thing when he was elected in 2016, because he truly is. Well, hell, in fact, he's now currently referring to Elon Musk as a parasitic, illegal immigrant billionaire. And that's what he's currently referring to Musk as right now. So I don't know who shot Trump, but I would say it might be the people that, I don't know, maybe it's the government. What do you think?
Well, we've got text messages here that the they is the globalist elite, but I was kind of struck by just the fact that it takes forever for these investigations. Like, I don't think we know anything different than what we knew in early August, and that assassination attempt took place in July. I mean, why it takes so long for this stuff?
I'm not sure the American people really need to know what's going on with that deep down. I mean, do you want a press release that makes us feel comfortable? But beyond that, the Secret Service has a serious job to do with this president that we have. I hope that they can get it done. I hope they can keep him safe.
I agree. And, Jim, that point, I've been around a few different presidential candidates over the years, from very small little details. Mitt Romney's, all guys were wearing kind of suits, typical stuff. We hosted a big rally for Mitt up at Red Rocks. I remember that. And then, but with Trump, and when I've been around him, his Secret Service is like fully ammoed, fully guarded up with the bulletproof vests and flak jackets and all that. I mean, it's like a whole different level.
Well, there were, I didn't find out until recently, but there were 11 attempts on Obama's life over those 8 years. So I don't know if anybody heard about that, but I hear there's 11 attempts.
Wow.
I don't necessarily think that we need to know the details.
Right.
I think we should just be very happy that ear piercing wasn't an inch farther to the side.
Yep. Jim, great call. Sure appreciate it. Thanks so much. Speaking of tough guys willing to take it on, this was one of my absolute favorite speeches. Tom Homan. Even Trump gets up afterwards at CPAC after Tom Homan had spoke. He's the director of ICE right now. And was like, this guy's out of central casting. I mean, it is so fun to watch him. This guy is motivated. This is what you want for your ICE director.
We're going to make this country safe again. The third rail, when President Trump told me, he said, Tolman, secure the border, run the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen, and find over 300,000 missing children that were sex trafficked or forced labor trafficking in this country. And we're looking for them. And we're going to save children. All these bad stories about Trump, Homan, you're a racist, you're a white nationalist, you're a mean person. Okay, I'll take that. Because you know what Homan's doing? I'm working for the greatest president of my lifetime, and we're going to save lives. Because when 95% less people are coming across the border, how many women ain't being raped? How many Americans aren't dying from fentanyl overdoses? How many no-suspected terrorists aren't getting in the country? How many women and children aren't sex trafficked in this country when you have the border locked down? We're saving lives.
Woo! It was inspiring to have an ICE director that laser locked on what his mission was, unapologetic, willing to go after the bad guys. Call me whatever name you want. We are saving lives. And I've experienced it firsthand talking to these migrants down at the Aurora apartment complex. They've been abused all along the route up here. It's terrible. And to have that type of clarity, ICE says it regularly. Clarity is kindness. When you know what the rules are, when you follow the rules, it's actually a form of kindness to everybody involved. Because when you're just shuffling people up here and you have fentanyl and you have all the stuff that's happening at the border, you're actually harming a lot of people. And for him to have that type of clarity, that type of focus, that type of strength, it is very exciting. And the people in the room, and I think the American people broadly, are very excited about the direction of this administration when it comes to safety. All right, I'm going to play another part of Tom Homan's speech when he challenges the cartels directly to come after him. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're recapping CPAC. I love this moment. This is Tom Homan taking on the drug cartels.
I got another message to the criminal cartels of Mexico. At the RNC, I said a speech. I said two things at the speech. If you're in the country illegally, you better start packing now. We're keeping that promise. The other thing I said on stage at the RNC, that President Trump is going to designate the criminal cartels of Mexico as a terrorist organization. He's going to wipe you off the face of the earth. After I said that, of course, I got numerous death threats. They've doubled the size of my security detail because all the cartels want to take Homan out. Well, I'll tell you what, come get some. You have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. You are now a terrorist organization. So word out to anybody that assists them, anybody that sells their drugs on the street, anybody that assists these cartels in any way, you are helping a terrorist organization, and the weight of the world's coming down on you.
Those are strong words. Now, Bill, I've been following cartel activity. I've watched all the little documentaries. I'm big into this because I hate what drugs have done to our community. It's killed people very close to me. These things. So if you ask me, who's the greatest threat to the president? Is it like Iran, China? I actually would say the cartels are. They are wily in how they operate, and they just don't care. But then secondly, the ability to actually kind of root them out. They're so powerful. Americans are so addicted. Do you think these guys are going to make an impact?
Yeah, I think there's going to be some impact here in the States. Whether or not there's any impact in Mexico, that I'm very skeptical of.
So corrupt down there.
Very skeptical of. But the other part is we have no power down there. So the idea is that we're going to wipe you off the face of the earth. How? How would you possibly accomplish that? And the problem being is you're going to accomplish that while starting a trade war with Mexico. Why would they want to help you at that point if you're making things more difficult for them economically? So when you're starting a trade war, I fail to see why the president of Mexico is going to be like, ooh, you know what would be a good idea? A joint military operation. So that's the thing is, are we drawing more bees with honey or vinegar? And that's kind of the issue. And so I'm worried about these big promises. They may be able to root out some of the criminal cartels and influence here. But the idea of wiping them off the face of the earth, I'm very skeptical of. And the other problem is as long as you have a willing customer base, it's very difficult to stop the sale of anything. And that's the part that I don't think we're dealing with. We think that if we just stop the flow, and, you know, there's portions of it.
It'll definitely help.
It'll help. But how come we just wouldn't switch to something else or switch to this? I mean, you saw there were people that kept trying to invent synthetic alternatives to marijuana when marijuana wasn't legalized. So when there's a customer base and a demand, something will try to
I got to tell you, it is so refreshing and exciting to have this type of leadership willing to take on the cartels. I'm just praying for your safety, guys. This is a big battle, but it's a battle, as Tom Homan pointed out, for the future of this country. Glad these guys are doing it. God bless Tom Homan. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is 710 KNUS.
It is 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Monday, February 24th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You're waking up in the greatest country in history. Donald Trump's your president. We're off and running. We got a whole hour plan for you of engaging conversations, critical analysis, and most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, Jimmy Sengenberger is going to join us. You know the name, you know the voice. He's a columnist now with the Denver Gazette. Great piece out last week on this Jeffco school scandal that continues to grow. But here's another element of it. You know about the head of school that was reportedly in possession of child pornography, the guy that led the trusted adult effort that then reportedly took his life in light of that. Then you have the teacher that ran off with the student. That's all over the news. It continues to be. Another article in the New York Post about that. Now you have evidence that the school district is specifically not hiring teachers because they're conservative. No growing lawsuit there. So Jeffco Schools, as Libs of TikTok said, Libs of TikTok, 4 million followers or something like that, the worst school district in America might just be Jeffco Schools. We're going to get some insight from Jimmy Sengenberger. But first, checking in with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Thanks a lot, Jeff and Billy. 54 and mostly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 63 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
Yeah, I would just point out, interest rates are down 5 weeks in a row on the 10-year since President Trump took office. And mortgage rates are down. We're going to get that down.
Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, day 35 of the awakening in America, and the 47 administration will put all civil servants employed by USAID on administrative leave today and cut 2,000 employees. Elon says they need to email information about what they did last week to Doge, or workers will be let go. Kevin O'Leary.
There's always fat on the chicken. There's always fat, and you can keep cutting all the time. I think it's a productivity tool that comes into the electorate forever. It's a very cool thing that's going on here. I think the outcome of this could be Trump's biggest legacy, that he let this happen. Because, whether you like him or you don't, no one's ever done this before.
And DJT agrees.
We fought through hell together. But in the end, we achieved the great liberation of America. We're liberating our country right now. We're doing all these things that you're reading about. We're liberating.
Doge investigating the 2010 earthquake in Haiti. $4+ billion went to the Clinton Foundation and the Democratic Party. Remember that? Only 2% went to Haiti. And a lot of people remember that. The deputy head of the organization was convicted of smuggling children out of Haiti, and then some disappeared. Now, she went to prison for 5 years and then came out later, 5 years later, changed her name, and guess what? The head of Amber Alerts? What? Cash and Pam Bondi expected to release the Epstein client list file. Stay tuned for that. And cutesy time is over. Dan Bongino will be the next deputy director of the FBI, working alongside new FBI director Kash Patel. Bongino knows that Patel, he knows him as well as anyone.
I can tell you with certainty that Kash Patel is there for one reason. He is there to make the FBI great again. Folks, we need Kash Patel at FBI. As far as I'm concerned right now, he is the only guy who knows where the bodies are buried and can go in there and clean that mess up. This guy.
So Bongino, former Secret Service, of course, and New York police officer and one of the most popular political podcasters right now. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has a daughter named Davida, and she will try to fill the void left by Bongino. Bongino is also dead set on finding if and who worked with the shooter in the first assassination attempt of 47 last summer. There's more to that one. Bongino has helped expose the corruption that occurred on January 6th, along with Patel. And here in Colorado, Representative Ty Winter and the Republicans have shown their support for people who were used for political theater that day and went to prison.
It's worth showing the Colorado voters that first and foremost, a lot of what's perpetrated is falsehood out of some of the media coverage of this. We saw that through videos and through, witness testimony. And secondly, to let the people that voted and supported President Trump know that, we're going to stand up for what's right. And there was just so many technical problems. Representative DeGraff laid out so many technical problems with this because he really focuses in on those things. So technically it was incorrect. So not only was it partisan politics, was it political theater, was it a distraction? There was a lot of information in it. Was just.
He was on Jeff and Bill this morning. Cain from Task Force Freedom, Northern Colorado, on the show also this morning. They're showing support for Tina Peters this Saturday in Fort Collins at 11 in the morning.
Our biggest thing is to raise awareness where people can come out and stand at that intersection. We're going to have a small little rally where we can talk to the folks that are there. The biggest thing is to come out and so we can pray. And so we can pray for the country. We can pray for Tina. We can pray for liberty and freedom and justice.
Once again, that is the Task Force Freedom Northern Colorado and Cain from that organization. DJT welcomes French President Macron and his wife, whatever, to the White House today. One person is dead after being buried in an avalanche near Berthoud Pass over the weekend. The name of the skier who died will be identified at a later time. Broncos linebacker coach Michael Wilhoit arrested Sunday on suspicion of second-degree assault of a police officer. The Broncos said they are aware of the situation and in the process of gathering more information. Wilhoit is a former NFL player who joined Sean Payton's staff in Denver prior to the 2023 season. He is scheduled to appear in court this morning. Nuggets at the Pacers tonight at 5 o'clock. 48 in Parker, 51 in Lafayette, and 54 in Denver right now. Jeff and Billy continue.
There need to be Democrats who walk the walk and talk the talk. There is an insane amount of hypocrisy.
Oh, yeah, AOC. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Coming up here in just a second, it's Jimmy Sengenberger. But first, look, if the last couple of years have taught us one thing, it's to value the things we can control, and addressing hair loss is no exception. Our friends over at Advanced Hair Restoration can reverse years or even decades of hair loss with their simple one-day treatment. Your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day, and your new hair is backed by the Advanced Hair Guarantee. It works for bald spots, receding hairlines, thinning hair, men, women, younger, wiser. Advanced Hair can address many different patterns of hair loss. Advanced Hair's top-rated physicians like Dr. Tanya Pauls have changed tens of thousands of people's lives, and now It's your turn. Schedule your free consultation by calling 720-459-HAIR. And to celebrate the new year, get special financing, 250 free hair grafts, and $250 off. Value the thing you can control and start regrowing your own natural hair today. That's 720-459-HAIR, or become inspired with the before and after pictures at advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. All right, it just feels like there's just another scandal coming down the pike with Jeffco schools or Dougco schools or Denver schools. I mean, Denver schools rehiring Tay Anderson. Look, what the heck? And then you have in Jeffco, you have the head of schools and that disaster. And then you got the grooming teacher that ran off to California with a kid. And then Dougco over the weekend, the teacher of the year, getting arrested allegedly for kidnapping, sending 2,400 text messages. So you have all this disgusting things happening with these school districts, and then you get hit again. This one, you would think maybe Jeffco's like, let's clean things up and get some good teachers in here. Oh no, you're a conservative politically. We're not going to hire you. The latest coming from the Denver Gazette and Jimmy Sengenberger, you know the name, you know the voice. At one Jeffco school, conservatives need not apply. His latest. Jimmy, thanks so much for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, always good to be with you. Thanks for having me about this today. Good morning.
Well, great piece. Man, you are just lighting it up these days in the Denver Gazette. If you're not reading Jimmy regularly, you're missing out. Jimmy, give us the insight on this one.
My goodness. I mean, we hear a lot of talk all the time about our conservatives being pushed out of the school system, or are they unwelcomed? And it at least appears that in one instance in Jeffco schools that, who knows, may or may not be indicative of something broader, this pretty clearly was the case. I had been notified of this story and looked into it and found that the facts really lined up in a way that showed that a veteran teacher of over 2 decades named Kyle Walpole had applied for a temporary teaching position at Jefferson Virtual Academy, which is an online school in Jeffco, and wanted to take his social studies experience there after being a substitute teacher for a while in the district. And this is somebody who had taught for many years, had dealt with curriculum, was an instructional guy for teachers and so forth. And so it seemed like he was pretty primed for the position, especially when he did his 2 interviews, seemed to nail them, one interview, and then did a couple of performance tasks that he nailed. And he got a phone call from the principal in mid-November, about 1:28 p.m., saying, hey, give me a call back. I want to talk to you about the position, love the interview. 15 minutes later, 17, an email is sent from somebody else at the school, the registrar, to someone involved in the interface of the hiring process, with a smiley face emoji as the subject. And the link was to an article from 2014 from the Colorado Freedom of Information Coalition, which, by the way, is a transparency group, but it's no conservative organization, that showed that in 2014, he had pushed to publicly release the names of teachers that had walked out of his daughter's high school. You might remember when we had a conservative school board in Jeffco, there was a lot of consternation and teachers walked out. He spotlighted the names, working with the CFOIC, and that email was sent 2 minutes later, another email with a article he'd written for CompleteColorado.com in 2021, criticizing DEI in schools. And then what do you know? He called the principal back an hour later and never got a return call. Instead, a few days later, it was do this other performance task that he has some evidence showing was never reviewed. 2 days after that, sorry, we're pursuing other candidates.
It seems pretty clear to me that there is a motivation here. We're talking with Jimmy Sengenberger on his latest article at one Jeffco school, Conservatives Need Not Apply. So what has the teacher done since? What has Kyle Walpole done?
Well, first of all, I think a week ago, he resigned from his position as a substitute teacher, and he'd gone back and forth with the district, particularly with the district's general counsel, Julie Tullison, talking about his complaints and his concerns and laying out the facts. He got an attorney by the name of William Eigels, who's a friend of his, who just sort of was helping him out with exchanging some emails and really laying out a lot of these facts. And what's interesting, guys, is that a couple of weeks ago, I had emailed Julie Tullison, again, the general counsel, asking her some questions about this because it really looked like the facts to me were lining up that something fishy was going on here. And she suggested I review those emails with the attorney friend, William Eigels, and her. And the emails just so happened to line up completely with Kyle Walpole's reflection of events and showcasing to me that Tullison didn't even do her homework when looking into this, which to me raises a lot of red flags when a school district isn't giving the time of day to looking in seriously to something like this. Because I should add this, then I'll get off my soapbox, that originally Kyle Walpole had filed a complaint saying, hey, I want you to look into this because I believe there was discrimination. And the guy who investigated this in HR emailed the principal in December saying, guess what? He's not part of a protected class. So good news, you don't have to worry about anything here. Never mind, by the way, the appearance of potential retaliation from what he did in 2014 and his article in 2021.
We're talking with Jimmy Sengenberger about his latest article in the Denver Gazette at one Jeffco school, conservatives need not apply. There's lots of evidence here, Jimmy, but I got to tell you, to me it seems pretty basic because I hear it over and over again. We can't find good teachers. It's really hard to find good teachers. For the love of God, Denver Public Schools has rehired Tay Anderson. Right? Like if there's not better example of the fact you're scraping the bottom of the barrel than employing Tay Anderson again after the dude was censored for inappropriate text messages to a minor. Yeah, we have a hiring problem. And then you have a qualified teacher come along who's already working in the district with impeccable background, with experience, who gets the interview. And then, oh, my goodness, we find some links. Yeah, and we use little smiley faces. Oh, and lo and behold, the guy doesn't get the job. Yeah, it seems like you're pretty motivated by politics. I don't know. It doesn't seem that complicated to me. You, Jimmy?
Yeah. I mean, particularly when they come up with a reason that doesn't make sense. So on December 9th, apparently they closed the position and decided, you know what, we're not going to hire anybody. There was one other person that they had supposedly been considering along with Kyle Walpole. And even though they originally had told him we are pursuing other candidates, later on, the district would go ahead and use the justification that, oh, we decided to cancel the position, even though that happened weeks after he'd gotten the email for we're going to pursue other candidates. But you bring up something I can't not talk about Tay Anderson for just a moment, since, of course, nobody has done more to cover the saga of Tay than I have over the past, nearly 5 years, if you think about it, which is absolutely mind-boggling. But the fact that you would have a school district bring on Tay Anderson with his record, the fact that he had, in fact, been censured by the school board, by his own colleagues, and it was texting not just one minor, but at least another minor for intimidating witnesses, for other things that he had done that were inappropriate. I mean, litany of things. And then he's a restorative justice coordinator at Manual Middle School. You can't make this stuff up. And you can't make up either the fact that we do have political biases that are in our school system. We've seen it for many, many years. And this saga with Kyle Walpole just seems like the latest instance. And I want to be clear that when you go into a story like this journalistically, you want to make sure you're lining up the facts, you're getting everything. And this guy did his due diligence with Cora requests, Open Record Act requests to get information, to get emails showcasing the timeline. And then when you get a response from the attorney for the district, Jeff, saying, hey, look at the email correspondence I did with this attorney, and I look at it and I find that it lines up perfectly with the teacher's accounts and everything that I had seen. You got to say, what the heck is going on here? What are you trying to pull?
You're listening to Jimmy Sengenberger, columnist for the Denver Gazette, longtime member of the KNUS family, now out doing some other things as well on some of those other stations. And it's great to hear his voice is still active here in Colorado, and love to have you when you're on the show here, Jimmy. Good job on this one. If you want to check out Jimmy's work, Conservatives Need Not Apply. Search for that on the Denver Gazette. He's done fantastic work on this. I appreciate you outlining that there was nobody chosen for the position, because that was my first question, was who was chosen for the position, but they chose not to hire. I appreciate you focusing on the difference in qualifications for Tay Anderson, because I think that is a really strong comparison in this case when you look at the idea of Jeffco possibly hedging their bets, because, we have to watch ourselves legally, possibly hedging their bets based on the teacher Kyle looking at criticizing the teachers who walked out of his daughter's classroom and also criticizing DEI versus a person that is hired in Denver Public Schools, different school district, who has actually been censured for an active investigation where he's reaching out and having inappropriate conversations with, students. That seems a little bit of a different level of who we like and who we don't like. Now, Jimmy, the question that I've got for you, have you seen or heard from anybody else in the Jeffco district as you were digging this up, where they may have even just whispered to you, I don't need details on it, about they feel that they can't be honest about their conservative leanings inside of the school district because there will be retribution? During your conversations and during the investigation, we don't need any details because we don't have any confirmation of those, but did you hear any of these similar sentiments from anybody else you talked to?
Not from this particular article, Bill, but I will say that I have gotten this sort of thing from teachers over the years, whether it is specifically over I'm a conservative or it's like in Denver on Tay Anderson. The number of employees in the district that have over the years reached out, people involved who have said, or parents who have said, I don't really want to go public here because I'm worried about retaliation, but I want to give you some tips and some information, has been significant. And that has been growing with other stories as well. So it may or may not be that it's conservative bias per se, but it is also concern about things going on in the district relating to other things with politics or behavior of people in the district or district leaders and what have you, that I will frequently get. And I will say I have seen a couple of attorneys either reached out to me or tweeted at me saying, look, I think that there's something here. You're not allowed to discriminate against the teacher in retaliation for something that they have done in the past with the user exercising their First Amendment rights or being involved in an investigation like the FOIA request from 2014, anything like that. So definitely from these kinds of stories, you never know, Bill, what you're going to get in terms of outreach.
Now, I know you're going to be doing this, Jimmy, but I want to kind of give a preview to all of our listeners that I'm certain that Jimmy is going to be watching to see if Jeffco, comes back in 90 days and starts looking to hire for this very same position. Because legally, you can create a bulwark against any legal action if you choose not to hire for the position. It's more difficult if they would have chosen a different candidate other than Kyle. However, I've seen it in other industries where they'll come back in 90 days, maybe 120 days, and they will go ahead and try to hire again for that same position. So I just want to let the listeners know that I'm certain that Jimmy is going to be watching for that if this thing pops up again, he's going to be the guy asking the questions, hang on, well, what changed inside the district where 90 days ago you guys weren't hiring for it and now you are? How did things change so dramatically?
I wonder. It's just a teacher's role, right? They've got to hire for it.
Yeah. Well, so let me say, because this actually is really interesting you're bringing this up, Bill, that they said this is a temporary position. And one of their arguments for why they decided to cancel it was, you know what, it's mid-year. We're spreading the workload around other teachers for now because we realize that it's just impractical to go ahead and move forward with this position. I'm scratching my head thinking, well, then why in the world would you post that position in the first place, especially when you have this fact pattern? It doesn't add up. So I think this position will be back, but it is going to be maybe something that they're looking at differently in terms of how they're going to post it or what have you. I don't know. But it was a temporary position they decided was impractical to move forward with, which is rather absurd to me.
Oh, it's absolutely absurd because, Jimmy and Jeff and I, we all know that we're certain that the people in charge of the hiring process in the school district of Jeffco came to all of the teachers who had been pulling, the extra work for this missing teacher they were trying to hire to take the burden of instruction off of other educators. And I'm certain that they went to each and every one of those educators and said, would it be okay if we just keep you doing all this extra work without giving you any extra pay for it? And they went, yes, absolutely. My day isn't full enough. I have more than enough time to do all of this extra stuff and not get paid for it. Please give me more unpaid work. Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. This thing's coming back later. They just stopped this thing, my opinion. They just stopped this thing right now because they knew their legal pants were in a tight and they couldn't get through it. And so they'll bring this back later and they'll try to make nice later on.
I think there's a good possibility of that. We'll see if anything comes legally from this. I know that Mr. Walpole just today had filed a complaint with the federal government and the Department of Education. At least that's what he's saying. With the the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity office that they've got there at the federal government. So we'll see how that shakes out and anything else moving forward. But I have to say that it is really important for teachers to push back when they see that they're being mistreated. And a lot of times, educators who are actually in the system will very much fear whether or not they should come forward in one way or another. And that is in part because this is something of retaliation. They're worried what might end up happening as far as any sort of consequences. And so that's where sometimes it's file these complaints that are legal, or it may be going to the media to spotlight what's going on, especially if what you have to share fits in with something else that is going on. Because a lot of times with teachers, it is that they are, there's a story that's happening, or anybody in any situation, and they see, oh, you know what, I had this happen to me, or I have this relevant fact that I can share. And that's something that is just as important as anything else.
I love the fact that you went there, Jimmy, and you're listening to Jimmy Sengenberger, longtime voice here on 710 KNUS and current columnist of the Denver Gazette, and you can hear him filling in all over the places, even, yes, at those other radio stations. We are so happy that he's getting a chance to stretch his wings, but even more happy that he's able to come home and talk to us. You got to check out Jimmy's work on this story, Conservatives Need Not Apply. Search for that on denvergazette.com. You're going to be able to find the story. He did fantastic work here, and I love the fact that you were just pointing out that some of the teachers feel worried and almost afraid to raise their hand when something goes on like this, which is really, and I'm being facetious here, really shocking given the fact that, well, they're union members. This, I think, is a great example of why public unions can be more trouble than they are worth in some cases. Here we have a public union that in most cases, if this was a private company, the union would be representing the teacher that felt that they were pushed aside, that they weren't given the chance, the teacher that felt they were being treated unfairly by the employer. But that's not how it functions in public unions. It's different. And the union members that belong in the Colorado State school system don't feel all the time they can trust their own union, because their own union has to be in bed with the school district in order to make it function. And many times the union has abdicated its representation of their individual workers, in my opinion, in favor of maintaining their public union status. And it's a great example.
Wow. Let's go to since you guys had brought up Tay Anderson before, let's go to that and the fact that in Denver, the teachers union there had given him in the high 5 figures in contributions for his first run, even though they had received a letter that was alleging the potential for sexual impropriety on his part. And so even despite that, despite everything else, they supported him then, and they never publicly took a position expressing concern about Anderson. Eventually, he saw the writing on the wall when he could have run for re-election, saw, I only have a 9% approval rating, so it might not be a good idea for me to run for re-election. And then, of course, the union didn't have to support him, but they never came out against him despite everything. And to me, that just underscores exactly what you're saying, especially when I'm getting stories like one of my outreaches from a teacher was the JROTC instructor at Manual High School who had been publicly excoriated by Tay Anderson and Scott Esserman, who's still on the Board of Education for DPS, at a meeting that was called where they accused the JROTC instructor of racism for the end of the program there that was moving to another school that was a district decision to move that program. Yet Tay Anderson, Scott Esserman saw themselves an opportunity to be heroes, to play heroes. And I wrote about this extensively for the Denver Gazette. And who did he come out? He reached out to me and did an interview with me, in fact, on KNUS on my old show. And that shows that teachers will sometimes find themselves in a position, publicly or privately, where they are in a box. And sometimes the only way that they can go about addressing it is to go and spotlight a little bit of media attention.
We're talking with Jimmy Sengenberger, columnist with Denver Gazette. Bill, I don't know how you save it. I don't know how you save government-run education at this point. For me, the whole thing, when you look at the unions, you look at the progressive agenda pushed through it, you look at the teachers, you look at the administrators, you look at the fact, I see the whole thing as compromised. I see the whole thing. I think you got to backpack the funding, allow families to send their kids to private schools if they want. But I look at this constantly. It's a steady stream, and I know this is important to you because you have family that works in public education. I don't know how you save it. I don't know. I think the whole system is compromised. I don't know. Jimmy, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, well, one thing that I think is important is my good friend, Corey DeAngelis, who I've known since before he became really the #1 national spokesperson for school choice in the country. He would say fund students, not system. And I agree to that at the most basic level, because while I support public education, in fact, I endorsed 5A and 5B in the past, the bond measures in Douglas County, where I'm a resident, the tax and bond measures there, because I believe that it is important to build new schools and that teachers need to be paid more, and particularly in the circumstances of Douglas County, whereas I've opposed similar things in Cherry Creek schools and in Denver public schools and what have you. It's case by case, but that's how you need to look at it with these school districts, with what you do as far as approaching the districts, approaching them as voters, or approaching it as a parent deciding where to send your schools. We should fundamentally be making sure that the money follows the child to an educational opportunity, public school, charter school, private school, whatever it is, that is best for them and their circumstances. And nobody will know that better than the parents. But unfortunately, Jeff and Bill, as you well know, the parents are the ones increasingly being sidelined in our school system. And that is a problem that is endemic and deep into our system. And the only way to change it is to fund students, not systems.
All right. Bill, any response to my idea that the whole thing needs to be scrapped at this point?
I disagree, because I think that we do need some form of a public education system, but I do believe that at this point it is broken. And the #1 reason that I believe it is broken right now is because there are a couple of, the major point is we are not allowed to properly discipline the kids. And I don't mean corporal punishment.
Yes.
I don't mean corporal punishment. What I mean is we need to move those problem kids out of that school. Most educators you talk to say that 10% of less of the students are the ones that cause the problems. And that's where the drain is inside of class time. That's where the drain is based on resources. And we need to be honest about the fact that if your kid is, and let's just take, just for fun, let's just say that over the course of a semester, if your kid can't show up to class 54 times over the course of a single semester, that kid should not be allowed back through those school doors for the next semester. That kid needs to have an alternative learning program, and we need to address what that looks like. But there's no way. These teachers and these schools are spending way too much time focusing on the kids that in some places just don't care. They don't want to be there. They don't care. And we're wasting our precious classroom time trying to hope that someday they will. No, they need another system. They need another option. Just like some parents have an option for a charter school. Some kids need to have a different alternative school program and get them out of the regular public school classrooms. I know kids that are in elementary school that talk about children that on the regular, as in once a week, will pick up a chair and try to hit other students. And these are kids in 3rd and 4th grade at times. That's ridiculous. No teacher should have to deal with a student that does that every single week. That kid needs to be in another program. That's where I'd go with it. But we're not ready for that stuff
I have
yet.
to jump in if I can for a second. I want to jump in because I've done extensive for years now writing columns in the Denver Gazette about the discipline matrix in Denver public schools. And I don't just mean the fact that they allow violent students and those alleged to have committed the most heinous violent crimes to remain in their classrooms and not providing them, as you were talking about, Bill, an alternative school environment, which is all, I mean, they have schools that they can go to. They have online options. Weren't we told that online education during COVID was fine for everybody?
Yep.
So why not the most violent of kids that put both other students and teachers at risk? Why not find them an online option or otherwise? Yet Denver's not on board with that. But that's not the only thing. With their discipline matrix has a slew of problems in terms of institutionalizing how you're not able to enforce discipline, and you have things like what you're describing, Bill, and so much more happen in that school district. And what I'm scratching my head wondering, again, is why is this most significant? The stories that we are talking about, why are they most prominent at the 2 largest school districts? Denver Public Schools, number 1, and number 2, Jefferson County Schools. And I think part of it is you're going to be more prone to these kinds of things in a larger school district because there's more people. But it's also because those districts have policies and procedures and people who are hired that are at the top that just don't care enough. They're trying to get their woke points instead of actually doing the job of making sure kids are learning. And it is showing up in the performance and the terrible academic performance of students time and time again.
Can't say it any better. Jimmy Sengenberger. You follow him on X at Seng Center, SENG Center, CENTER, Seng Center. He writes regularly for the Denver Gazette, and if you're missing those articles, you're missing out on the very best. Jimmy, thanks so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show today.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Always fun.
We'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. Check out Jimmy's work. Go visit the Denver Gazette and search for Conservatives Need Not Apply. This is going to be amazing. If you guys haven't heard, we are going to be out of the IHOP in Greenwood Village this Wednesday, broadcasting live. Yes, we're doing the show live, bringing the whole crew with us to get in front of you and to have some delicious pancakes at IHOP. Now, the IHOP in Greenwood Village, it is just east and south of I-25 and Arapahoe Road. Travel down I-25, then you will head east on Arapahoe, and then take your very first south turn, which is Clinton Street. Yes, Clinton taking us south.
Heading south on Clinton.
Yeah, I know. The nice part is if you come off of I-25, then Clinton is actually turning to the right rather than the left, which I think is kind of funny. So you take the right, you go down Clinton. We're going to be right down there. Keep driving, and you'll run right into the IHOP. It'll be on the right-hand side of the road. The cool thing is we're going to be doing the show live down there. They have some $6 specials that are going on right now. But Mike Boyle, who is going to be there with us live, if you're listening earlier today, he's flying back from Mexico specifically to hang out with you at IHOP. He's not flying back for us. He's flying back to make sure that he hangs out with you at IHOP on Wednesday, and he has arranged a wonderful $7.10 KNUS special. First of all, that $7.10 could get you that big stack of pancakes. Yes, we're talking about chocolate strawberry, chocolate chip, strawberry and banana, Cinestack, Tres Leches, double berry, strawberry cheesecake, everything they do. That big stack is only going to run you $7.10 if you want to be the adult and get a balanced breakfast. 710, we've got that as well. It's the pancake combo, $7.10, gets you 2 pancakes, 2 eggs, bacon or sausage, and the hash browns. That's a deal you're not going to be able to beat anywhere in town that morning. Better than those coffee shops, better than going through that drive-through at the fast food place and trying to eat in your car, because then you get stuff all over you and then you got to clean the car. So come hang out with us. Freshly made breakfast and fun entertainment. You get to hang out with us. We'd love to see you. It is at the Arapahoe Road and I-25, a little bit east, a little bit south. We're going to be there from 6 until 10 this Wednesday. $7.10 KNUS special, and we'll send you off to work feeling right. And we'll take some pictures and goof with you off air as well.
It'll be the best thing you can do that morning.
Yes,
You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. What pancakes do you want on Wednesday?
are Jeffco schools specifically not hiring conservative teachers? We talk about another brewing scandal in the district. Plus, MAGA dominates the Conservative Political Action Conference. Do you support the new Republican Party? All of that was discussed on the show. If you missed any of it, go to 710knus.com to download the podcast there. Great conversations. Thank you to all the calls. Plus, there's a Tina Peters rally taking place on Saturday. We spoke with them in the 6 o'clock hour. TinaPeters.us if you want to get more information on that. That was a good discussion. We kicked it right off, Bill. 6 a.m. Just bang.
That was good.
Debate.
And I appreciate Cain joining us that morning. It was good. It was good. He was good. And again, I have a heart for where Tina is and what she's gotten herself into. There's just a disagreement about how that happened. And that's okay. There can be reasonable disagreements about that, but we still can have empathy and an open heart to the struggles that she is facing, regardless of how she got into that situation. Yeah. So.
And Rep. Ty Winter, Republican, joined us to discuss why Democrats thought 6 hours of discussion on a resolution about January 6th was a good use of time on Friday.
6 hours over something that means nothing. If they're going to spend 6 hours discussing it, better be Jeff and Bill Day at the state capitol. That I can see a 6 hour debate on.
All of this covered at 710knus.com. Download the podcast there. We're less than 24 hours from IHOP. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
Pancakes. This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.